Yes, happy Friday. Happy Friday. If anyone's in this country, happy whatever day it is, wherever you are. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back to fhtv. Joined by Dan E from the Hotspur Hood. If you haven't subscribed to him, get over there. Subscribe to this man. And happy Friday to you, Dan. It's a very nice day today.
Yes, it is. I'm going to take the dog out later for a long walk, so I look forward to that one. Question is at the moment is who walks who? Do I walk the dog or does he walk me? He's
we know the
a
answer.
Rottweiler. He's a Rottweiler and he's a big puppy at 5 months, and we've had to put that tag on him, where it goes round the mouth basically. So when he pulls away, it almost agitates him a bit because on the chain at the moment he's getting there. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. Everyone in the chat, welcome. Good day to you all. Smash the like button. Let's not do this whole thing where we seem to wait until the actual presenter asks. Smash that like button. And from now on, please, 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 we are going to keep this football. All right. No talk of content creators. Let's talk football. It's a football channel. With that in mind, Dan, it's a very strange time because we are playing this weekend. But it's kind of like, it's not really important, the game, because we've let the season go to absolute toffee. But at the same time, we don't want to roll over and get our bellies tickled so that Liverpool just win the league because it's Spurs in town. So this is a weird time to be a Spurs fan, isn't it? It feels all a bit odd.
When has it never been a weird time to be a Spurs fan, if you want to be honest with yourself? I mean, like I say, we all got our own opinions and that. And like I said it a little while, don't mind the noise. That's just a dustman outside. They'll be gone in a minute.
I can't hear it, mate. You're all good. You're all good.
Cool. And the league for me was done over a month ago. I sort of just cut myself off from it. BS to it, basically. I know we got to win every game. You want to win every game. We've got to win every game and that. But momentum is something not what we've picked up at Spurs. And I think we proved that the other day. If there was anything that was going to give this team a bit of momentum, a bit of fire, a bit of, do you know what? Let's finish the season with some pride. It would have been that game against Frankfurt. Because second half, Ange adapted in the second half. He got it right for a change. The players actually played with a bit of balls on them. They wanted to get stuck in a bit more, and then we went back to his other way, and the players just they went back to themselves as well. And for me, I think that showed two sides. I think it just showed how unable the manager is, and I just think it also just showed how the players don't really care that much either.
Yeah, it's a strange one. We'll go into that in a bit more detail in a bit as well, because there's loads of reports are flying around Spurs at the moment with players being unhappy and players wanting to leave. And I guess that's natural when a club is not doing well. You get it at all clubs. They're not doing well. Everyone wants to leave. It's not going how they thought it was going to go. Lots of in rows apparently with the manager and all this kind of stuff. But listen, we have got a semi-final in 6 days' time, so that's positive. We've got something to look forward to. But look, let's start. Let's have a look. So, this came out today. I've seen this from a number of publications, but I took it from the Times. There's loads of people saying this, and this isn't a new rumor, Dan, but it is one that's growing over the last few weeks, that Atletico Madrid are interested in Bentancur as well as Romero this summer. Tottenham players considering their options amid uncertainty over Postecoglou. And then it says Tell among them, which I think is quite interesting, considering that it's our decision if we want to buy Tell or not, right? Like it's we've got to say yes, we want to buy you, and then he's got to say yes. But Bentancur, I mean, Romero, I'm not shocked about. Romero, I think we've known for a long time now, body language performances, that this guy, attention might be elsewhere. Bentancur, talk to me about Bentancur. Would you be bothered? Is Atletico Madrid with Simeone a good fit for a South American with a hot temper?
Well, I think any South American with a hot temper, I think Simeone is your perfect manager. best in the world on the planet for that sort of system. If you want a team that's going to go hard defense and a manager that wants you to get stuck in, but also has the capability of giving you a bit of discipline as well, I think it's the match. Atletico Madrid, Simeone, perfect. And personally, I think Romero goes there. I do think you will see a significantly better player on a consistency.
I agree.
I think the team suits him a lot better. I think the manager would suit him perfect. Bentancur, no different really. For me, he hasn't been the same player since that injury. I'm not saying it's purely down to that injury, but it is ever since he had that injury, he has not been the same player. Very ifs, buts, and maybes. If we lose him, he's another one. I'm like, I honestly don't think he would be that hard to replace.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could go and get another 30, 40 million established player. Dare I say the words, not a bloody Archie Gray or another young player sort of thing.
I can hear Lubo's car suddenly pulling into a hard shoulder somewhere so he can jump on and defend Archie Gray.
Just on the side of it, I haven't got a problem with him. I've got a problem with the situation. It is just not what we needed. And I think, again, we got rid of too many established players. And what I mean established is they've played football for time in the Premier League or other leagues or whatever. They're not 18, 19 years old. They're established. They've got a bit of experience. And we just brought kids in, and that was not what we needed. Ideally, we'd have bought both, but we're Tottenham Hotspur. We don't do that. Daniel Levy don't do that. It's one or the other. So I think it's now the time that we need to get some established players in there, some players who know how to play football, some players who've actually got a bit of a strong mentality. Because I think that's also something this team lacks in a big time, in a very big way. I mean, the saying usually goes, too many Chiefs, not enough Indians, when you've got too many big people on there that clash. I think it's the total reverse round for us. Too many Indians, not enough Chiefs. We have got no leaders on that pitch at all. This is where I think if we do get a midfielder or a couple, I don't see nothing wrong with going up for someone who's like 29, 30, 31, who's more established as a player, who's been there, done it, got the storybook, and can actually lead something, or a defender like that or whatever. I think we got to put the kid side aside a little bit now and concentrate on who can do it now, basically.
No, I completely agree. I mean, I think the interesting thing is I've been sent loads of stuff. I can't bring it all up, but lots of reports this morning as well. And I heard this from somebody last week that Madison is apparently 2 or 3 clubs have approached Madison's agent. Dan, as with anything, this is, I don't know, right? I'm not going to sit here and say ITK, right? Apparently a few clubs have asked Madison's agent to just be kept in the loop with his happiness this summer. And apparently some of those clubs are good clubs as well that want a playmaker, want a playmaker, big up Philly. How you doing, man? Players that want a playmaker. Madison also ticks boxes, Dan, because he's English. So for homegrown quota for clubs in his country. And let's be fair, if these clubs buy James Madison, they're getting a very good footballer that needs to play with better footballers and with a proper manager. So you've got Madison, people are talking about. There's lots of talk about Kulu being wanted by the likes of, I think I saw, was it Juventus and AC Milan and clubs like that. You've got Bentancur and Romero apparently being wanted by other clubs. What do you make of all that?
None of it surprises me, and I would not blame Madison for basically getting out of this place as quick as possible, because he has had a terrible season in the aspect of that he just has had a chance to play his way, and he could have just been so much better. I say terrible season, I've said it the wrong way. I don't know how to put this across. It's not necessarily down to him that he ain't a good season. I think it's just down to the fact that the manager really don't like him. I think he was the first one that had a confrontation with the manager personally.
I agree. I massively agree.
The way we play, it just don't suit him. The way we play don't suit other players. We can go into it again and again and again. But at the end of the day, he's on a contract with us. We can't really afford, I don't think, to get rid of homegrown English players. That's another reason I think Solanke was looked at so much as well, because we're very, very limited on choice on that number that you got to put in there. And I think it comes down to who the next manager is, basically.
I completely agree.
If the next manager comes in, because his wife is the reason he came to Tottenham, he even admitted it. It is the pure reason he basically picked Tottenham, because his wife wanted London life. Yeah. And will they want to go out and move this and that? Who knows? I don't know what's going on behind the storybooks in his house, nor do you. But I think if we get a better manager...
Quickly, Dan, do you know the teams I heard, though, Dan? Do you know that the teams I heard that want to keep an eye on James Madison? And it doesn't mean they're bidding, but they're being asked to be kept in the loop, which I'm not saying you guys, but this is where when people talk about transfers, I always hear, just go and make a bid. And it just doesn't work like that. You like the agent will have the call. Apparently it's clubs like Liverpool, City and Man United are all asking to keep tabs on James Madison. Now, let's be fair, whether his wife wants to live in London or not, especially Man City and Liverpool, if they turn around and go, James, do you want to come and play for us at the age of 28 for the last 3-4 years of your career? Yeah.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah. You would, wouldn't you? You
absolutely would. With the ones you've said, I can understand Man U looking at him. He comes across like quite a Man U player, the way they play. Liverpool, no. And City, not. No, I don't think City.
I think he's a perfect Pep player. I think he's the perfect Pep Guardiola player. Gets possibly on the ball, links up, scores goals, assists, good with both feet, likes to play the 1-2s. I think he is. I think he would be in a row. By the way, we've got to remember.
Would you say the replacement's Kevin De Bruyne sort of thing?
No. Just I
as
think
the playmaker up front.
I would just say the thing is with Man City, they other than 1 or 2 players. When you go to Man City, you're not guaranteed a game. Like the worst people to put in your fantasy league team are Man City players because Pep Guardiola knows how to rotate them. You never know who's going to be centre mid. You never know who's going to be on the wings. I just think he'd be a perfect rotation for them. I do. And at Liverpool, they're going to need a bigger squad. Slot needs to bring in his own. I'm not saying he's definitely going to go there, by the way. I'm just saying what I've heard that they're going to. And these clubs, they're going to need English players. You're going to have some homegrown footballers. So
that is the other thing as well. That is one thing a lot of teams, us being one of them in a big way, is slacking, and that is homegrown English players, basically. But I just don't see City. I don't see it happening. I think City can go out there and get better players than Madison. A very good player, but I think there's better out there that City can do for sure. And on the aspect of going, if he gets the choice of those 3 clubs, would I really want to go to a team where I'm going to be the second player sort of thing, or play 1 in 3 games, maybe 2 games, and then miss 2 games, this and that? Or would I want to go to a team like Liverpool or Man U, where I'm going to get more consistent games? But then I don't see Madison getting in over McAllister, but I think they're also 2 different types of player as well. I don't think McAllister's quite as what's the phrase for it? Quite as inventive as Madison is. But Man U have absolutely been shocking as well.
Yeah.
But again, Man U can put the money down and they put the wages down as well. And at the end of the day, for me, money talks.
Well, look, let me, Philly, let me bring you in here. I mean, listen, we're talking about a lot of players here, like Romero, Bentancur, Madison. Look, Mikey Moore's going to be getting. I know a different end of the career, but Mikey Moore's going to be getting pissed off. Sonny, I reckon they've triggered his extension so he can go. The problem we've got here, Philly, is if a lot of these players, as reported, don't want to play for this manager, it's going to be really important as to who is the next manager, right? Like we talk about this all the time. And listen, Ange might stay a year, I don't know, but it is really important that we get a man's man, if that makes sense. You know, like how Harry Redknapp.
Yeah, a man manager.
Yeah, a man manager. The players loved Poch. The players loved Harry Redknapp. The players loved Martin Jol. I think we need hey, come here. You're my guy. I'm building around you. I feel like we need that type of manager next rather than a dictator.
I agree. Especially for the young players as well. They need that kind of guiding shoulder, like a father figure, so they can help nurse them through some of the difficult moments, because you're going to get difficult moments. Youngsters always feel that. This is why I wanted experience in the team in the summer. But I'm going to answer a point to you, Dan, yeah, because you said about Solanke and buying British players. Now, this is the point I have, yeah, because this is one that my brother from another mother stole from me, and it's this. There are levels to this game. Right, we need the English players, yeah? Eze is an English player. Wouldn't that count to the English quota?
Yeah, and Eze was a player I wanted.
Amen. So why are we selling for Solanke and players of that level when we should be aiming a lot higher than that?
Yeah, and you're 100% right, but you just said that word again. That word that has become a common word at Spurs. Should for me has become the most common word at Spurs. That to the point that even when we talk about a game like Southampton, we turn around and say we should be beating them. No, exactly. We should be saying, yeah, I reckon we'll beat them. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a bit of confidence in that, but literally every game or everything is should be. I mean, even if we play Ipswich, we would sit here and say, well, we should do. I think we will. Whereas we should be sitting there saying, yeah, I'm quite confident we will beat them. And what you just said is that word again. Should. We should be going for players like Eze. We should not have gone out and bought Odegaard and Gray. We should have put that money on Solanke, who could have done something on that pitch this season. I don't think he's had the greatest season at City. He's lost two very good players around him. But again, I think he's significantly better than what we've got.
You mean Grealish, I think it is. But
Eze. Grealish?
No, Eze, I was saying.
Eze. Oh, you said Solanke, right? Yeah, so that makes sense. I think Eze's had a good year. I think Eze's had a good year. He didn't start great, but he's starting to.
No, he's had a respectable season. But he didn't start great, and I think that was also down to a couple of the best players in the team going missing. But he still stood out as a player, and I think he's definitely significantly better than anything we have in midfield. Personal opinion at the end of the day, yeah. And that is where I keep arguing the point and repeating it with anyone and everyone. Odegaard, Gray, no. 60 million, that is, or let's say 50 million cash. We could have gone and put that towards him. We could have got that towards another more established player. We need to now put the kids aside and get established players on that pitch. And I think Eze would still be a perfect player we can go for and stand a chance of getting, depending how many other teams are interested.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, I think as fans, we have this conversation about who we want versus who we know we're going to buy. Like I'm with Danny in respect of players like Eze shouldn't be, without being arrogant, shouldn't be a problem. If Tottenham Hotspur can't go to Crystal Palace and say, we want that guy, and they can't attract Eze from Palace, we've got problems, guys. We've got real problems. The question you've got to ask yourself, though, is, for me, Eze is one of a dying breed. And what I mean by that is I think Eze is more of the, when we talk about the Maverick side of football, I think Eze's an entertainer. Eze's your talisman, isn't he? Where you look around.
He's got a flair in him.
Yeah, he's got something. He's got that X factor. I don't think, from what we've seen, I don't think Ange wants that. Look how he's treated Madison, who's got that X factor. Nope. Our fans, but he don't run around. He don't track back. He don't. Eze, I don't want to buy Eze, by the way, guys. I don't ever want to see Eze on the halfway line. I don't want Eze picking the ball up off of the midfield, off of the centre-backs. Get the ball to Eze in the last third and you go on, son. This is where you thrive.
Yeah, but unlike Madison, yeah, Eze can actually pick out from the halfway line and drive with the ball, which is what I like about Eze. It's the driving factor I like about Eze. I watched him against Arsenal, and you can see him pick up the ball, yeah, and drive at the Arsenal defence. And that worries defenders because that beats them on the back foot, which is why I like to see Eze. But when I watch someone like Madison, he's more of a creator.
I agree, Philly. But my point is, we've got to stop buying these players that are creators and mavericks in the final third, and then constantly asking them to be the ones getting the ball on the halfway line. The whole point is.
Yeah, but Savva, that's what we've been saying. That's round peg square hole, Savva, which we've been saying for the last year and a half, at least the last 18 months. We've been saying round peg square holes. Why is Madison dropping back on the halfway line? He's never done that in his entire career. So why is he going to do it now at the age of 28? Why are you asking him to do a job here that he doesn't do? And then you're asking him, oh, because you're doing a job that you don't do, yeah. Oh, you're playing poorly. You're not playing poorly. He doesn't do that job. So you're asking him to do something outside his wheelhouse and then expecting another result.
I agree, but isn't this the point of central midfielders? Like, I feel like we've come so far away from what centre mids used to do. Now we're so bothered about 6, 8, 10, right? Central midfielders used to be the guys, they were the ones picking up the ball from the centre backs. They were the ones getting the ball into the final third. And when remember when football was a lot simpler? My centre mids are going to get the balls to the wingers or to the false 9 who played up front with the 10 or whatever you want to call it. Sorry, the other way around. And it was simple. Now you've got all of these clubs now do this pass. And you could see it. Kane got frustrated. Come back to the halfway line. Let me get the ball. Madison. Bruno Fernandes at Man United. You watch that boy. I don't want Bruno anywhere but 30 yards from goal. He's a goal scorer. He's an assister. I'm watching Bruno now getting frustrated. When you watch United, he's dropping deep into his own half, getting the ball. And fans go, oh, they're not doing a lot. Well, yeah, because you're not getting the ball to them.
I agree.
Zidane. So when Zidane played, right? When these players played, you got the ball to them in the final third. Zidane wasn't in his own half. Get the ball to him. Let him do his magic. And that's what I think listen, I'm not putting Madison on that pedestal. I'm not Philly before he's made that.
No. Right, I'm going to say this to you, yeah, because we are Spurs fans. I'm going to put a perfect example. I've been ill for the last few months, last month anyway, so that's why you've not seen me. Big up the Cookmaster in the chat, by the way. But let me say this to you, yeah. We are Spurs fans, yeah, and we are lucky enough to have seen Paul Gascoigne. He never got back. He was asked to pick up the ball, yeah, and run out the defence. That's what made him different. He wasn't asked to get back and make tackles and that. That was his job. So no one asked Paul Gascoigne to go back on the halfway line, yeah, and tackle a player. That wasn't his job. So why are you expecting it from someone like Madison?
True, but can I just say, I've got to. My mate Matt. Hello, Matt. Not seen you for a few days since the Nottingham Forest defeat. This is everything in football fans who don't understand coaching and man-to-man management. This sums it up. It's not a nursery, it's professional football. Arms around your shoulder, needed arms around your shoulder when you're a top team is a hindrance. I'm sorry. Have you seen how Pep Guardiola, knows when to berate one of his players, when to get him, give him a cuddle and go on. So, well, man-to-man management. Did you see Klopp, how good he was with it? Players would come off and Klopp would go, well done, son. You got him. Matt, the fact you don't understand this tells me why you want Ange at our football club. Sorry. Just utter madness. Big up, Lubo.
I mean, another thing is, I think there's types of players we got to look at first, and it depends what the next manager is and what his system is. But sure, for hell, we got to get a DM somewhere, a defensive midfielder, because depending how they play. If you play 3 at the back, I don't feel you need a defensive midfielder, because I feel the one in the middle you can either have him push forward a bit to be the DM, but also come back to cover the 2, or the other 2 can push forward a bit and he comes back as more of a sweeper. Sure. With 3 at the back, it's just how I prefer football, and I think we obviously need to look at a proper striker as well. And I think there are strikers out there who we could get cheaper than people might think. But I think our main position that we need right now, depending on how the next manager plays, is some sort of defensive midfielder. because Basuma, for me, gets a hell of a lot of stick, which he deserves because he has been poor. But like I've said to people, hasn't many people watched the games and where 95% of his problems and mistakes are? They're always defensive. He's not a defensive player in any means or manner. He was not wanted and rated as one of the best midfielders in the Premier League at the time by Liverpool because he was defensive. I still think he's another player that if we get the right manager with him, give him that little cuddle he needs and say, right, get your finger out, get your act together and you'll be in this team regular, playing the right way in the box to box, I still think we've got a good player sitting there. But that's my personal opinion with him. But for me, I think we definitely need that DM.
Oh, is that Lubo's? 1 second.
Yes, Carl.
Lubo, I'll bring you in when you want to talk.
I agree with you, Danny. We do need a six. We do need a defensive midfielder. What team have you ever seen win in any tournament without a decent six? Every good team has a decent defensive midfielder. And the way that and another thing that I keep saying is this wing back system. If you're gonna play wing back, you play with a back three because the wing backs push forward. Their job is not defensive, it's to get back and defend. That is not a job of a wing back. And Danny, you should know this spot on because look at Inter Milan. Do you see Denzel Dumfries get back and defend, bro?
Yes.
But do you see him defend well, though?
What I see is, I think you just got it out of percentage a bit. For me, a fullback is basically a defender that pushes it up to the halfway line at the most, yeah? A wing-back is further up than a fullback. And for me, a wing-back is 70% attack, 30% defence.
Right.
People seem to think that wing-backs, like Porro is not good at defending. But if he has to race back, say, 30% of the time and do something, you might get something a significantly bit better out of him instead of having to turn around and basically run the whole pitch in a diagonal angle to get back to a fullback position when he's actually a wing back. And it's just, with two at the back, you just can't do this. With three at the back, then you can play with proper wing backs. With three at the back, you don't even necessarily need a defensive midfielder. Like I said, the one in the middle can come forward a little bit and cover that because he's still got two behind him as such. And your wing backs can then also do their 30% of defending when they need to as well. This is just all going to depend on what manager we get and what tactics we use and everything else. As a manager, if I was a manager, I'd be called pragmatic, I think is the word I'd be called. Why? Because I love Italian football. I love the technical way it's played and I love the counter-attacking football. Take everything the other team's got, then bang, 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 3 direct balls up there in the back of the net. That's how I like it. But everyone sees it different. It's all going to depend on the next manager we get. But another thing we definitely need is a boss on that pitch. And we have not got one player who can take control of that team and say, get your act together, basically. I know there's not many Roy Keanes and Patrick Vieiras and Gatassus and Tony Adams and John Terrys and everything else anymore, but we still need some sort of leaders on there. And we haven't got none.
Unfortunately, Manchester said that he's not buying a leader. He's already shot himself in the foot by saying, this is why I didn't want Ange. There's multiple times this season, Ange has come out, and contradicted himself, and I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, mate, better for you to just keep your mouth shut, than to keep going on talking rubbish. Because I'm looking at him and thinking, right, you've got young players like Archie Gray, you've got young players like Berger. They need a leader on that pitch, someone who can tell them and instruct them what to do on the football field. But we have no one like that at Spurs. Son is not a leader, where a leader of men, where he's going to instruct players what to do. He's a leader in how he performs on the pitch, but even this season, he's dropped off massively. But we've got no leadership on that pitch. And Ange's already said, I'm not going to buy a leader, I'm going to develop one. So already he's shot himself in the foot. Now, I'm going to say this again, I agree with you on the fact that this team is lacking quite a lot, in my opinion, to actually compete. And we do need a better manager to come in there.
Listen, let me bring Lubo in here. Lubo, can you hear us? No, Lubo's gone. I won't bring Lubo in. So look, we all agree, right? I'll kick Lubo out. He's gone. Yeah, he's gone. We all agree that this is all going to depend, though, on who the manager is, right? As to who stays and what type of player comes in. My worry is, even if we win the Europa League, is that I think a lot of players are going to look at all of the noise and the kind of, I'm going to use a phrase I never use, all of the kind of hullabaloo surrounding Spurs this season. And surely they're going to have a little think and go, do I want to go there? It looks like that player's fallen out with the manager. That reporter's fallen out with the manager. That fan's fallen out with the manager. Is that going to be an attractive proposition, guys, for, let's say, Eze? Let's use Eze as the example we're talking about. Spurs rock up to Eze's agent, say, right, does he want to come? He's got a few offers. All right, what's it going to take for him to come? Well, who's the manager going to be? Because he's seen the way that Madison kept getting dropped. He's seen the way that Romero wanted to leave. He saw the way that Son was talking about. Isn't there a real danger of that, guys?
I agree. When you look at, right, if you're Eze, yeah, right, and you had, say, Newcastle, Aston Villa, or Tottenham coming for you, where would you go?
Exactly. At the moment, it ain't going to be Spurs.
Right.
I mean,
now this is what I'm saying when I say Tottenham are just going to fall further and further behind, because as we look progressively worse, yeah, and we don't look attractive, players are not going to want to take the opportunity or the risk to go to Spurs, yeah, when they're not going to win anything. Which is what I said to you about Atalanta. Why would you leave Atalanta, yeah, if you were Aliola Lookman or you were Edison and go to Spurs when you're winning the Europa League at Atalanta?
But there is one difference there, yeah, with who you're talking about now. Crystal Palace are twice as powerful, if not 5 times more powerful than Atalanta when it comes to money. And at the end of the day, money talks. Sometimes when a player doesn't really want to go, the club can push him out to the point where we desperately need this money. But then will they get other offers, this and that? It all comes down to that, yeah? Teams in Italy are poor in general. The league is struggling with money. It's only just getting back on its feet over it's been on the floor for the past 15 years. You follow it like I do.
I do.
And I think the place to go looking, there's a lot of players in Italy that I think we can go for and put the money on the table. And I don't think it'd cost us that much money compared to buying from other Premier League teams that we could honestly get, that you would think, why would they leave that team? But if the club turns around and says, I'm sorry, we need you out because we need that money, things can happen. Who knows? If they get other options, then they're going to pick over Spurs. But
yeah, but my option has been, yeah, right. How many teams are going to go looking at Edison, yeah, seeing that he's already won Europa League? How many eyes are going to go at Edison? And that's
Edison, don't waste your time. Great player, would love him at Spurs, but he's not even worth Spurs. Okay, go put in a bid for him and then see who else turns up. Because Edison, I can guarantee you're going to get some big clubs turning. I mean, if you want to talk about players we can get, and I'm talking about players that have got experience in that, and one who's had good season at Lazio. What's his name? Mattia, the left winger. Is it Zaghini? Zaghini?
Oh, sorry, go on, Philly. Yeah, I never know how to say his name, but yeah, I watched him a few times. He's good.
He's 29. He's established. He knows how to play bloody football, and he's had a very good season in Lazio. He's another player who I think you go and put 25 million down for him, honestly, and not even that high wages. He's another player I think you've got in that team.
I think Spurs will go for the other side, mate. I think Spurs, will go for Isaacson, because his girlfriend's already at the Tottenham women's team already, and I'm sure that Isaacson is the player that they want, on the right hand side. Now he's a decent player. I do like Isaacson, but then is that what he would be a curtain raiser, and I'd prefer Isaacson over Tell every day of the week.
Yeah.
Just quickly, I just want to say, sorry, Matt, someone's called you out properly there, mate. When you're saying when you're at a top team, you need top mentality, right? Whilst you're backing a manager who's sitting in 16th and is our worst for 143 years, mate. If you want top mentality, you need to get it yourself. But look, guys, Dan's right. Even if it's not Italy, when I watch the German games, Spanish games, French games, there are good players all over if you scout. There are very good players. But we seem to think that no one can be better than what we've got. But then when what we've got doesn't work, we seem to say, oh, yeah, but we haven't got very good players. We seem to be like it's this self-harm notion, if that makes sense. So at the beginning of the season, I heard people saying our back four, one of the best back fours in the league, right? Oh, but why would you buy Gallagher? Gallagher doesn't get in above Basuma and Bentancur. Right? We say these sort of things. I'm just making the examples I'm giving. Why would we buy this winger? He wouldn't get in above Son. Right? We got fans that say they wouldn't want John McGinn, for example, who's the captain of Aston Villa, who are flying over the last 2.5 years, getting better and better. We wouldn't want him, right? It's almost like I feel like we're in denial quite a lot about quite a lot of stuff at this fan base.
Savva, can you bring up a comment for me? 11:53, Jay.
11:53. Yeah, I'm
Please.
nowhere near that. Oh, by the way, I saw you last night, my man. Listen. I've got no problem with you being here. However, I did see all the comments you made about me in another show last night. So please, if you want to be here and talk, I've got no problem with it. But I did see you abusing the shit out of me last night. So I'm happy to draw a line under it. We move on. But please don't try and be nice when I've seen what you're actually like. Sorry, Dan. 11:53, mate.
With Jay Ashraf, I'm not going to try and pronounce the second name. I'll bite my tongue off. I'm terrible at pronouncing it. That's the one. All right. Dan would target older, established players, just further block the path of our youngsters that are currently on loan who want a shot at the first team. No, I would buy established players because we've got none.
Look at this.
I want established players because you need leaders on that game. If we just bring in all the kids, who are the kids going to look up to and lead from? Who's going to teach them a few things on the pitch and not just off the pitch? And there's this other thing, mate, Jay, it's called rotation. Yeah. There's certain games where you can play 2 or 3 of the kids and you need the established players on the pitch at the same time. I would go for older established players because that is what I personally feel we need at the moment. I mean, we've got a loan like Tell. It blatantly shows on there he hasn't got experience. Forget whether he's played well or not. You can see he hasn't got experience. Odegaard, okay, there's a little bit there, but again, young player. Archie Gray, as soon as he came over here, he'd never even stepped foot in a big league. He'd been in the championship, for God's sake. Bergville, I must admit, has impressed me a bit. He's established himself as a player, but for me, I would still rather have him on the subs bench than be one of the fellas that I have to pick for my first team. I want some established players in that team now, not just bloody kids. And then you can rotate, and then the kids can learn with the established players on the pitch. But then that's just how I see it. If you want to call it blocking a route, last bit, mate. If you want to call it blocking the route, then tell you what. How about we just leave it totally as it is and whatever, and just let the kids play on the pitch, just the whole lot of them all the time.
Dan, I completely agree. Look, a couple of points on this. I mean, first and foremost, I fail to believe there's a single Spurs fan, by the way, that doesn't think John McGinn automatically walks in our team and is captain of the football club. This guy is captain of Aston Villa. This guy is. I genuinely, no nonsense fan is agreeing with me, by the way. I genuinely don't get how anyone would look at a player like John McGinn, great engine, loves a tackle, good on the ball, good pass, gets forward, rallies his team, leads by example. And we've got that's why when people say to me, just get behind the team, Savva, how can I, when I've got idiot fans saying John McGinn isn't good enough for Spurs, but he's good enough for Aston Villa, the quarterfinals of the Champions League, the semi-finals of the league, in a top 4 race, he's their captain, but not good enough for us, then that same fan says, not many of these players I'd want to keep.
There's 2 reasons.
Madness.
There's 2 reasons to it. One, he's got the wrong name.
Yes.
Yes. And for some strange reason, for me, I just find in football, if you haven't got the right name, you don't get the same sort of attention unless you really, really show it as such. Mm-hmm. And John McGinn, I think me and you and Stel and someone else with us called it on a show that he would be the perfect player for exactly what we need as a DM, yeah? No, he's not a flashy player. No, he doesn't stand out through skill. What he stands out is through muscle, through having a bit of IQ, for knowing how to use it, for getting stuck into a game. He ain't even the best passer of the ball, but he's a reliant short ball. No, he's not a direct man that's going to kick it up the pitch or do some Madison pass or whatever. He's the sort of established anchor man or DM that we need at Spurs. I personally believe. And for me, he walks on there all day long, whether it be centre mid coming back or whatever, or DM. And if you want a leader, that is a leader. That is what I call more of a leader to a old school sort of thing, like a John Terry, Tony Adams, Vieira, and that. Yeah. Whereas
he's a captain.
And people still agree with Son being our captain.
But this is what I mean. But
whatever turns you on at the end of the day.
I'll move on from McGinn, but the same person telling me McGinn can't get in our team and telling me to raise my standards is the same person wanting to keep Angepostecoglou, who is 16th in the Premier League table and has the worst points per game ever. It's absolutely unbelievable. But Philly, Dan made a good point before, didn't he? He made a very, very, very good point that we as a club, we want to look at Tells. We want to look at Odebers. And then as a fan base, we start going, oh, I'll take him. I'll take him. There's people who I'm friends with in the chat that tell me, yeah, I like Tell. And you're like, yeah, but can't we go and get better? Yeah, but I like Tell. Let's see how he gets on over the next few years. Philly, when are we ever going to get to a stage where we all go, we want footballers for now? I don't want to buy an 18-year-old again this summer unless his name is Yamal, right? I don't want to buy an 18-year-old this summer. I want to go and buy men to make Tottenham a better football team. Men, grown men, Philly. Yeah, that walk in that. Do you know what I want? Sorry for the rant, Phil. I want a man that walks in that changing room, pumps out his chest from day one and says, look at me, watch what I do. Yeah, I'm here now. I'm here. Watch me. I'm the man. Watch. I don't want all these. Brendan Johnson walks in all nice and timid. Bergvall, hi, I'm a lovely kid with lovely hair. Gray, I'm just pleased to be here. You know, Tell, well, thanks for giving me game time. I couldn't get game time at my club. No, I want a man. I want a man to walk through that door and say, I am it. What is wrong? Why is that negative to want that?
All right, Sav, I'm going to say something to you, yeah, because this is not my first radio, and this is not my first appearance on your show, my friend. And this is. I know. Remember a couple of years back, right, when we had Arsenal and Tottenham were in. Apparently, Arsenal and Tottenham's rear view. You remember that year? Remember what Arsenal did? They went to Manchester City and they bought Jesus. And they went and bought Zinchenko, two players who had already won the league at Man City, knew what it'd take to get past the line there, and they went into that dressing room and they raised the levels of Arsenal's dressing room to where they passed Spurs in a heartbeat, right? And I said at the time, right, we should have gone for that level of player, right? That's what you needed to uplift the dressing room. But Spurs didn't do that. They settled for buying lesser players. And this is my argument for morning. When you settle for lesser players, do not be surprised if you buy relegation level players. Don't be surprised if you're in a relegation battle or down in the relegation zone, because teams will pass you by. All right, and our dealings here in the last few windows. The first time I saw you, man, you said it spot on, and this is why me and you resonate. When I look at the last 10 years, I'll give it 7 years of Tottenham transfer windows. They make me physically sick because each one of them, does not look any better than the last one. There's no player in there that you say, you know what, you actually raised the level of the football team. Even every signing that has been there has been an easy signing. All right, and when you've got kids like Archie Gray coming through, what they need is a leader, a role model on the pitch. And I'm going to add something to the John McGinn one. John McGinn would be perfect for Spurs because he is that kind of leader and that role model that these players could look up to, and it would allow Archie Gray to develop and give him time to develop. But instead, we're going to force Archie Gray's development because we haven't got a player in that position, and that's not what I want. This is why I say he has to go down to the Championship and go and establish himself as a DM. Because even at Leeds, he was not even a DM. He was a right back. He was a DM. At Spurs, he's been left back, centre back, right back, everywhere else but the right position for him. So this is why I said he has to go down a level to establish himself.
I agree.
You wouldn't
I
have
agree.
even got football
hang on, Dan.
if there weren't
Just
injuries.
really quickly, Notorious Pig, you've not listened. When you say we've got nothing to convince these players, sorry, we've got nothing to convince grown men to come to Tottenham Hotspur. The only players that will join Tottenham are teenagers. Why we're no one said they have to be top players. I said leaders, men, right? How did Aston Villa go and get Yuri Tillemans on a free? By the way, how good is Yuri Tillemans, by the way? On a free. They got Kamara on a free, right? When they were worse than we are now, they got them on a free. Aston Villa's midfield free, guys, Kamara, Tielemans and McGinn, £2.5 million that cost. £2.5 million for that midfield free, right? Let that sink in. 2.5 million. We're going out and going, Archie Gray, 40 million. Right? We're going out and going, we want this player, 50 million, 60 million. Good scouting. We are not a promoted team. Why? I'd love someone like this to come on. Why can't we attract men? Notorious PIG. Why can't we attract adults? Why is it always got to be kids? Why? This is the problem. This is what the club have done. And you people like you have convinced yourselves that's all we're allowed to do. Solanke. Solanke's 27. How did we manage to sign Solanke if we can't sign adults? How did we manage to sign James Madison if we can't sign adults? How did we manage to sign Basuma if we can't sign? It's absolutely mind-blowing, Dan. Sorry.
I'll give
people
you an
are talking
example.
like we're Burnley. People
I'll
are talking like we're Burnley.
Yeah? I'll give you a good example. Let's just change this from a bit of football to life in general, yeah? Right. My mother was doing her job for like 25 years as a carer, yeah? All of a sudden it comes up that you have to have the badge and you've had to do the college course for it and whatever and that to be a carer. So she's had to do her job and also get her badge at the same time. Some little 18-year-old comes out has got the badge, she's done the coursework, whatever, gets the job straight away. And when my mother was very ill, when I had to have the carers around, comes round, and my mother said, boil some eggs. And she goes, what do I do? Stick it in the kettle. And that's not even taking the joke, yeah? What I'm basically saying is, what do you want to come into your house as a plumber? Do you want that boy who comes in, who's 18, 19, and just come out of college and has got the big gold badge, whatever you want to call it, and that says he can do this work because he is qualified? Or would you rather have that man who's been doing it for 30, 40 years, who hasn't got the badge because he hasn't gone to college under the rules that came up, 10 years ago now and everything, to come and fix your stuff? What do you want? I don't want any more younger players at Spurs. We've got enough young players at Spurs. We've got players that can come through. We need established, experienced players now. Not people who can just come in and with potential, with this, with that, or whatever. I think we need experience. And that is another thing. We have got some experienced players on there, but we've got a lot of players that I don't think are not good enough. I just think we need experience now. And I don't mean like players, all of it. Say we buy 4 players, they haven't all got to be bloody 30, but at least 25 upwards, a majority of them who have got experience in their leagues.
Yeah, but even if they're 24, Dan, as long as they've got experience of playing at a high level, that would translate itself into the dressing room, right? Look at someone like Tayibi, at Bruges. Look at the experience that he's learned this season, playing in the Champions League. That kind of experience would actually lift the Spurs dressing room. Having someone like that, for the young players like Archie Gray to come into the dressing room.
Still a kid,
I know he is, Savva. I know he is, but at least he's experienced and played at a high level, Savva. This is what I'm saying to you.
Philly, there's a difference. There's a difference between having experience of 1 year playing in the Champions League on the wing for Bruges and an actual experience of leading a dressing room and experience of football, isn't there? Like that's not experience, is it? That's not. He's still learning his trade.
Yeah, but then at least he's played at high level, Savva. That's what I'm saying to you. At least he's coming from a higher level than what we're looking at right now.
Philly,
but
so
even
is Matthias Tell.
but if Matthias Tell, I'm sorry, but when I look at him, he is heavily hit and miss. And you could say the same thing with Taibbi as well. He is hit and miss, and we don't really need that. What we do need, I agree with you on this one. We need about 24 to 20. I'd say the lowest is 24 and then upwards, right? I wouldn't say we could do 30-year-olds, but I would say mostly 24, 25, 26, around that age there. But 24 would be the lowest I'd go for. Someone experienced it, who's been there and done that, and still on the way, back to reaching their peak.
Yeah, I get it, but I think we've got to establish, what does experience mean? For me, playing 1 year in the Champions League as a kid doesn't tell me you're an experienced footballer. If he, by the way, I'm one of the people this year that said, God, have you seen that boy playing for Bruges? He looks a talent. That doesn't mean I want to sign him, but the problem is, if he comes in, again, it's about when you've got players like Romero, Madison, even Bentancur. Forget what we think of them as players. These are established players, 26, 27, 28 years of age. They're going to look around dressing rooms and go, where is this club going? Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're going to be saying, right, we're coming into those last 3 years of our 20s, right? Which is where you're in your peak and you want to be at a club that's going places. Imagine you turn up for pre-season again, Philly, and you're looking around and going, oh, well, there's that 18-year-old from Club Bruges. We just signed another 8. We just signed Archie Gray's brother, Harry, from Leeds. You know, you're looking around the dressing room going, it's not serious. And the thing is, that's what Bale saw. Laters. That's what Carrick saw. Laters. That's what Teddy Sheringham saw back in the day. Laters.
Edric.
That's what
Modric. Berbatov.
But that's when you come in to Daniel Levy's office with a transfer request and say, you know what, you're not serious and this is better for my career if I go and move on, because you know what, I want to actually win something. This was my argument and my gripe with Harry Kane is like, you should really and truly if you actually wanted to be successful, the first thing I'd be doing is handing a transfer request to Daniel Levy and saying, mate, you're not serious, right? And me being here, I'm just wasting time in my career being here when you're not winning anything. What's the point in being here?
And we saw that he wanted to leave. I agree with you, by the way. I agree. He should have been stronger. But he wanted to leave. We managed to hold on to him for 2 more years after that, didn't we? Then he did leave, right? But the point is, all of these players, all of these top players we've had in the past, it's all right. When Bale's a young player coming through, making his way, he's happy as a pig in shit at Spurs. The moment he realizes, hang on, I'm actually one of the top players. What's going on? Off. Right? Modric. It's all right when he comes as a kid from Croatia. Right? As soon as he realizes, hang on, I'm a hot commodity in Europe, he must look around and go, yeah, see you later, I'm off. And this is the point. They don't want to see more kids being signed. So when people are saying, oh, I like Tell, oh, I like this, they're already seeing that. Let's be honest. By the way, I'm not putting these players on that pedestal, by the way. But James Madison and Romero, let's use those two as an example. They're part of the leadership team. They're both, 27, 28? I think Romero's 27 next week, isn't he, or something? And I think and Bentancur, I think, must be and Madison's 28, right? They must be sitting there looking around going, well, we've got Odegaard as a young winger. We've bought Yang. Moore's coming through. Why are you going and buying Tell? Like, I'm not saying they're ever going to say this to the public, but surely you'd go home. You know, like how you all go home to your missus or whoever people live with when you have that little moan about your day at work. Surely they're going home going, I can't believe it. We've bought another kid. Like when I signed, Madison must be saying, when I signed, I was told that this was going to be a revolution and we're going to do this. And he's seeing kid after kid.
I'm going to ask you a question here. What do you think it's like for Romero when he goes to Argentina, and he's in the same dressing room with someone like Julian Alvarez, or in the same dressing room as Alexis McAllister, or when Harry Kane is the captain of England, and you're going to the same dressing room as a Kyle Walker, even at Declan Rice, you can't even talk to Declan Rice because Declan Rice won a trophy at West Ham. Remember, he won the Europa, he won the Conference League, so you can't even talk to Declan Rice through that. But yet, we have Spurs fans saying, "Oh, Harry Kane doesn't want to leave." No, Harry Kane wants to leave, mate, because he's embarrassed you by going to that.
Harry Kane should never have stepped a foot on Tottenham football pitch when he knew City was interested. He should have just said. He should have just blatantly put it out to. In my opinion, he should have put it out to Levy. I want out. And then if Levy starts getting really funny with it, he should have just gone to the world. Basically, look, I've given my all to Spurs, but we're just not going where I want to go. I love the fans. I've given you everything I've got, but I've got to go. And if the fans can't accept that, hang on. And if the fans can't accept that, I'm only giving my opinion on my attitude. I'd say, well, if you can't accept that, go do one. Because I've just give you 7 years, 6 years of pure quality football of what I can do. I want to win something. The club don't. Another player I'd like us to go for, yeah? I'm not saying they've all got to be in their 30s. Go for Dybala again. He's free at the end of the season. Go use him on a rotation with Madison. Just have an established player in there.
What happened when we were linked with him, Dan? We had fans saying, "Why would we want Dybala?"
He's
we
30
had fans
coming on 31.
Saying, Why would we want Dybala? He'd be
30,
the best
31. Yeah, he's 30 coming on 31, if I remember right.
Sure.
His contract ends at the end of the season. Go get him. Pay the extra bit of money on wages or sign-on fee, whatever, and that, and go get him. Because if we're willing to go get Timo Werner on loan for 165 grand, I'm sure at the age now of Dybala is where he's drifting off on where he's hit 30 sort of thing, he's going to be happy with 150 grand, personal opinion, and he will be through. He will be free. No, he's in Archer. His image rights, they'll be done by then. He's in his 30s now. And what we would get him for, there would be experience with him. And I think he would be a very good player to rotate with Madison and even Kulusevski.
Sod that, he'd be our best player.
I know that.
Dan, the brilliant thing is, if Spurs went and got Dybala, imagine you walk in from pre-season, you're going, God, that's Dybala. That's Dybala. I want to play with Dybala. That excites me, right? Not Spurs. Not Spurs. Let's sign some more 19-year-olds, 18-year-olds.
Yeah,
and the fans lap it up. Then when we lose, it's Levy's fault for not. It's like, well, hang on, make up your mind. Do you want the 19-year-olds or do you want some seniors? On that note, welcome, Lubo. I'll be back in 1 minute. And there's a really big echo your end, Lubo.
Right, I'll change that. I'll be back in a sec.
I was going to say to you, Dan, yeah, right, before I would uplift the dressing room, you know, look at the level, look at the uplift we had in 94, 95, yeah, when the club signed Jurgen Klinsmann. This is what annoyed me, yeah, is that we never stepped on from Jurgen Klinsmann. We signed a player of his level, yeah, but we should have used that as a stepping stone, yeah, to sign more established players like that to uplift the dressing room. And that is what we have never done as a club. We've never, ever gone to the next level. And that's what's always hurt me as a Spurs fan. And when you look at Liverpool, yeah, as much as you can say we haven't got the legacy of Liverpool, look at when they lost the Champions League final to Real Madrid, yeah, right? They sold off Coutinho and then they brought in 2 quality players, yeah, that had already experienced some sort of success, yeah, in Alisson, yeah, and then Van Dijk.
Yeah, another quick thing, yeah. I mean, Savva can't bring it in this at the moment, but Red Rebellion, I don't know if I've took the comment right, but listen back on the stream. This thing about bigger squad is all nonsense. Clubs can register a maximum of 25 players, first-team players, maximum 17 non-homegrown foreign and 8 homegrown. Yeah, and we could do that. And we've still got about 7 or 8 players that we don't have to put in the 25 because they are under 21s. Under 21s can play whenever they want. They don't have to actually be registered out of that 25-man squad. So a bigger squad is not a nonsense thing to me, because a bigger squad of established players, you can still use Bergvall anytime you want. You could still use Archie Gray anytime you want, because he hasn't got to be registered either, unless we register him because he's an English player, whatever, and this and that. Half of the young players we've got, you don't even have to bloody register them until they're 21. And you can play them at any time. And that is in Europe as well, if I remember correctly. but I know that is the rules of the Premiership. So a bigger squad, if you've got a 25-man squad and the high majority are all over 24, 25, over 21s, you can still use the under 21s whenever you wish. So when you go in for a smaller game or whatever, you say, do you know what? I get my established players on the pitch, but I'm going to give Mikey Moore a go today with the men, and Archie Gray go in midfield, and then have the other 9 around me as bigger established players. That is how you do it. That is how you give a kid, a younger player, experience on a pitch, not throwing him on a pitch with another bunch of other kids. Again, just my opinion.
Just quickly, I just saw a really good comment that I really liked. We talked about this the other night when Lubo was winding us up about Kevin De Bruyne. But this, on a serious note, this is exactly the type of player I would be trying to get. This would be everything I want in an experienced player, Champions League, played in top leagues, good age, free transfer. This is the bloke I want in our midfield. I would take this all day long. Anyone else? Take Frank Anguissa?
Of course.
I definitely would not say no to him. Another one, I still think we should go out there and have a shot at Locatelli. Let Bentancur go and go and have another shot at Locatelli. He's another one I would do it. I mean, I know it's all going to be our players going to want to come.
Anguissa, Locatelli and Bergvall in a midfield 3.
Thank you.
One that sits in terms of Locatelli controlling the game, Anguissa in terms of your ultimate box-to-box, and then Bergvall is allowed to go and join him. That's how different. You know when people say, "Oh my God, to be a good team, look how we'd need 15 new players." That's 2 midfielders. One's on a free. One was available for 25 million. That's 25 million pounds plus Bergvall was what, 10 million quid. So for 35 million quid, that is the midfield you could have if you've got a good scout.
Look, when clubs are desperate for money, they will sell. Money talks at the end of the day. But if a better club comes in for the player, then obviously the player is going to go to a different club to Tottenham. But maybe we go for that player and no one else goes in for him and the team desperately needs the money. The team will push on him leaving, whether they get him out or not, different story. But if we don't even bloody try, we're not going to get nowhere fast anyway. And if we just keep concentrating on kids, if anything, I think bringing more kids in is worse for the kids that we've got than bringing in established players for the kids that we got. Because people like Mikey Moore must be sitting there, and other players like Phillips and Dorrington and whoever else, whether they're good enough or not, must be sitting there thinking, why am I even bothering here? Because you're buying players the same age as me or only a year older with lack of not much experience as well, and you're playing them in front of me. I would think that's got to be more disheartening for a younger player than someone who gets bought who's 28 sort of thing and comes onto the pitch and he's played for example, let's just say he's played Roma and Bilbao, 2 random teams, yeah? And he's 28, got experience, comes on the pitch. I don't think the younger player is going to be so but when I'm sitting there as Mikey Moore, I'm sitting there as other younger players we've got, and as all I see is kids getting bought, and then I see another kid get bought for bloody 30, 40 million. I'm just like, why do I bother? Are people really going to be shocked if Mikey Moore ends up saying, do you know what? BS this, mate. I'm going to Man City.
No.
Because I wouldn't. It's bringing in kids is good. I think is worse for the younger players we already got. But again, just call it opinion.
No, Dan, I agree. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes. Hello, Lubo.
Yeah, I think. Good morning or good afternoon. Hi guys. We've got plenty of kids, and there are plenty of kids that are untried as well. So you're right, Dan. What would Mikey Moore be thinking? See and tell there. That's the perfect example. We don't need any more kids. We've got plenty of kids. We've got plenty of very good kids who are waiting to step up and try and take their chance. We need 3 or 4 top established players just to strengthen the team big time. Because, you know, and a leader, a big time, and the leader should be a 6. You want someone who's been there, done it, won trophies, and will bring a winning mentality into this team, because it will rub off. And that's basically where we are. So you've got, unfortunately, you haven't got enough established kids. You've got no leaders. You've got no leaders right the way through the club, and that's why we're 16th in the table.
By the way, Lubo, can we just say, sorry, really quickly. So Fabrizio Romano has just announced that Man United are about to sign Matheus Cunha from Wolves, right?
Yeah.
Let's take stock, right? That's the levels. This is a team, by the way, who are only 1 point above us in the league and have been dreadful. They go out and go. And that's not done. They said they're still in negotiations. But this is what he said, right? He said, Man United are leading the race to sign Matheus Cunha. Personal terms are being discussed as Man United are aware of more clubs and keen on the 62.5 million release clause. Good feelings after initial contacts between Cunha and Man U. Now, if Man U go and get Cunha, right, what an absolute no excuses for a club like Tottenham to not act like this. No excuses. Man United, this is the worst Man United we've seen for, I don't know about you guys, for decades. Like, decades.
Ever.
Right? And their owners, who their fans hate, are going, right, let's go and talk with Matheus Cunha. And we're talking about, we're going to buy that rig from Sunderland. Like, it is baffling, guys. It is baffling.
Look,
what a player Cunha is.
So
there is so many players we could go for. And again, it's all good saying, but the bigger club would step in. But you don't know that. I don't know that. We don't know that. So you've got to at least try. And okay, if you try, you go for that player, you're nearly all the way there, and then Man City or Juventus or bloody or Barcelona or Bayern Munich step in and snap him off you. Shit happens. Go for the next one. If you don't even try for it, if we would have gone for him as well, okay, if you want to go through size of club, history, Man U walk all over us. And they also walk all over us with the wages they'd pay as well. But if it was a similar wages, this and that, where's the player going to go? Where does he feel he's going to get more? At least try. We don't even try with an established good player anymore.
Maybe we rang his agent.
For kids.
Maybe we rang his agent, and his agent went, yeah, he's at Wolves, but he don't fancy Spurs.
But this is the difference in transfer policy and business models between Jim Ratcliffe and Daniel Levy. So it's not baffling. It's quite simple. There's your answer.
You know what I mean, though, Lubo. Like, you know, even from a position of weakness, Man United, listen, they might not get him, but the fact that they're in talks with him, the fact that they're in talks with Wolves about this, you know, the fact the season hasn't finished. The season hasn't finished. Man United are not waiting to see if they get Champions League football. So we've got our chairman coming out talking about, you know, we need Champions League and blah. Their owners, with the 25th of April, they're in talks with by the way, Cunha is a top footballer. He will add so much to Man United's forward line. Let's not be in any doubt about that.
Sorry, Luba, let me just do this. Savva, right, now if Man United signed Cunha, yeah, imagine an uplift in that dressing room right now, yeah, for all the players in that dressing room, hearing that Matheus Cunha is coming into Man United for next season. Just as they're preparing for the semi-final of the Europa League, yeah, imagine the lift that it would give that dressing room.
Mate, Philly, this is the point. It's what we're talking about. When you come back from pre-season and you go, who have we signed? God, there's Matheus Cunha. There's that top player from, I don't know, where Barcelona. There's that. It's a lift. Our players are coming back and going, Jesus. Right, all right, Højbjerg. Oh, he's not in the change room. Neither's Skip. Neither's Ndombele. Oh, but there's a couple of kids over there who still don't know how to tie their shoelaces. It's the levels to this game. And again, normally, like that. Look, we're all of age. We're all over 40 here, right? Lubo's just over 40. We're all over 40. The difference is when we were growing up, right? Well, if we go back 15, 20, 25 years, this was normal practice for Man U. You just look and you go, man, you aren't signing another top player. But we're in a stage now where we earn more money than them. They're just as shit as we are. By the way, I'm not saying we're good, but we're just as shit as they are. They're in exactly the same position in the Europa League. And they're in talks with Matheus Cunha. What are we doing? We're in talks bringing in new CEOs, talking about whether our manager's going to leave. Does Christian Romero want to leave? The levels are insane. So when people tell me that Man U are a dusted club, this is what they still do. This is the pool they still have.
Yeah, but Savva, I'm going to ask another question of you here, and this is this one. Who would you rather play for? Amorim, yeah, where you've seen his tactics work at Sporting Lisbon, yeah, or Ange Postecoglou, you've just seen for the last 2 years, right?
You know the answer.
That's another one.
You know the answer. You know the answer.
And so players are going to look at Ange Postecoglou and think, you know what, I don't want to play for your tactics. Your tactics leave me wide open. Why would I want to play in that system and be exposed every week and see there's a massive gap on the right-hand side where teams keep going down there all the time? Why would I want to do that?
That's where an established chairman who's not just a good businessman, but is a good chairman, will already have a plan on his back on the next manager coming in, no matter what happens, and go to that player and get his agent to go to that player, to the other agent or whatever, or whatever way each club does it, and say, right, he's going to be gone at the end of the season. We got this person coming in, and it's going to go from there. And then the player's going to at least sit there and think. Whereas at the moment, it's going to be, yeah, Spurs want you. They're going to sit back straight away and laugh and then go, I'll ask one question quickly. Is Ange still going to be there? No. Okay, where do you plan to go? Okay, let's go back to the start. Is Ange going to be there? Yes, he's baked potato. See you later, mate. I'm off. Phone down.
Absolutely. But you wouldn't, would you? You just wouldn't want to do it. And look, I'm not saying this transforms Man United suddenly overnight, but it completely refreshes their attack. This is the guy that's shone at Wolves. I think he would love the big stage at Old Trafford. And I'm gonna go out on a limb here, guys, and say we don't sign anyone anywhere near as good as Cunha this summer. Anyone disagree?
Nope.
No.
Only time will tell. It wouldn't surprise me.
The player we should be getting, for me, who is as exciting for me, is Eze.
I thought you were going to say De Bruyne.
and that's down to who's the next manager, because Ange didn't fancy him, and no offers went in for Eze. I mean, he would have just lit up the whole attack, wouldn't he? There'd be a whole different dynamic with our attack this season if he'd have been there.
Imagine him and Madison linking up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Him and Madison linking up, I think we'll get fans off their seat.
Number 6, though. Yeah, but the thing is, to have that, you'd have to have a proper number 6 here and a deep lying number 6 here, midfield destroyer here, who can actually support the back line where them two get forward. But otherwise, we'd be exposed, which is you have to look at that as well.
It's even if we did have Eze this year, I don't think we'd have done any better, to tell you the truth. Maybe in certain moments in a game or two, but I think he would have had just as much of a frustrating season as a lot of the other players that have looked pretty poor, purely down to the system. I don't think it would make much difference if we'd have even bloody got him, because it's down to the tactics for me. But he's a player I wanted all over the summer. And people kept saying there's better out there, or we can go for other ones, or he's not good enough for Spurs. He plays at Palace. I'm like,
well, this is what we do, Dan. This is what we like. This is what we do. Everyone going, oh, but his attitude. With his attitude, look at his goals and assists for Wolves. Like, we're talking about his attitude. Don't we need someone with a little bit of attitude? Don't we?
True.
Like, when are we going to stop finding a reason every time another club buys or is in talks with a top player? We find a reason as to why we wouldn't want them. Have you noticed, guys? We did it with Rashford. I said in January, don't get Tell. Go to Rashford and offer what Man U are. I know we wouldn't because of the wages, but Rashford, his wages, his attitude. Look at him. Look at him at Villa. He looks like a player reborn. We find the reason why we don't want these players. Then, when these players go to other clubs and do well, we'll say, God, we should have got a player like that. Well, yeah, but half of you didn't want them.
Yeah, but you see with Rashford, yeah, personal opinion, I can't stand him. It's a personal thing, his personality, everything about him, I cannot stand the player. Is he better than what we've got? For 6 months, maybe, and then he disappears again. He's probably one of the biggest patch players I've ever seen. And
yeah, but
for
that could be down.
He's
that
not,
could be down to the Man United
let me finish.
situation, right?
No, I disagree. It's a personal opinion. I think it's his attitude. I think the geezer is a top prick, but that's personal opinion. And at Spurs, I think he's the sort of person who would come there and do a Romero and have an attitude and have the wrong sort of attitude of I'm bigger than you, as in bigger than the club. I don't think Rashford is the sort of personality we need there, but for how he can play football, I'd take him all day long. But he's one I personally wouldn't want.
Would you say he's like an Adebayor then? So when you're playing for a contract, like Adebayor did, yeah, he played well for his contract, but the moment he got a contract, yeah, you could actually see him dropping off. And that's why I call Adebayor that kind of player.
I disagree. I think all the players, you got the World Cup at the end of next season. They'll all be playing to get in those squads, all of them, for all their countries. So for me, they'll all be motivated big time.
If you look at a lot of these players at Man United, it's like Spurs and Man United are very similar in a lot of ways. When there's no feel-good factor at the club and there's a complete mess and a complete change, notice how Rashford's form started to drop off a cliff as Man United descended into being a circus, right? Rashford for a few years was brilliant. Rashford for a few years was an England regular. Rashford for a few years was scoring a lot of goals. As Man U turned into a bit of chaos, so did Rashford. Same with Spurs. Look at Son. As Spurs have descended into chaos, so has Son. So has Romero. I don't know.
I took him for the 6 months over Tell all day long, just for the 6 months. But he's not a player I would want to buy.
Sure, but listen, if you're telling me we're going to buy Tell or buy Rashford, if that was the option, I'm buying Rashford all day long. But again, this was the difference, right? Wasn't it? When you look at the transfer windows, our fans are going, "Oh, I see something in Tell." Aston Villa fans are going, "Yeah, we should sign Asensio and Rashford on a permanent." Like the levels are frightening, guys, aren't they? And that's, by the way, that's Aston Villa, who aren't even in Champions League positions right now. And they're looking at those players. This is frightening because what happens if Newcastle get the Champions League, which it looks like they will? What happens with Forest, with their owner? And I hate this. And if Wolfie's watching, don't clip this, Wolfie. I'll make him. What if the Forest owner gets Champions League and goes, "You know what? I'm gonna start." I'm not saying he hasn't, but I'm gonna go big. What if all these other clubs get it and we're sitting here talking about Matisse Tell? No offense to the lad, but
Savva, don't you think that's a damning indictment? Yeah, but Savva, don't you think that's a damning indictment? Not being disrespectful, but let's go back 6 years or 7 years here to Aston Villa, right, with the Grealish situation. And because Tottenham didn't want to buy Grealish, yeah, and we were messing around with the transfer fee, and we ended up losing out to Grealish. Look at Aston Villa, yeah, the next season got promoted, they sold Grealish for 100 million, yeah, and look how it was revolutionary as their team, and they've gone past Tottenham in the space of 6 years. So from the Championship, yeah, to a team in the Champions League in the space of 6 or 7 years, right? And guess what? They didn't even use oil money to do so. So any fan who says it takes oil money to be successful, Aston Villa didn't take oil money to be successful. None of the Forest haven't used oil money to be successful.
Or a new stadium. Or a new stadium.
Oh man.
Forest
is
chairman.
with them. Go on in.
Forest chairman is in the tunnel at the final whistle to greet all the players. He's so bang into it, and the guy is majorly determined. I've got a customer of mine who's knows the people at Forest. He loves it. The chairman. He is so motivated, and we're up against it because we don't have that. Villa have it.
No,
Forest have it.
I know. I just think Philly makes a great point, and I'll bring you in a second, Alex. When I talk about Villa, when I talk about Newcastle, right? Brighton, not so much Forest because this is 1 year with Forest, so we need to see if they do it again. But when I look at Brighton, to a lesser extent, when I look at Newcastle, Villa, where were these teams compared to us 6-7 seasons ago? Right, and the reason I say 6-7 seasons is we've been in the stadium since 2019. We're now in 2025, right? In that time where we were told everything was going to get better, this is going to allow us to compete. These other teams haven't got new stadiums. People can say Newcastle have got all the money. They've not been able to spend it. And these teams have gone bum, 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 bum. And Spurs have gone bum, 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 bum. And still we've got fans. This is what I don't get. You know, like when me and Phil have our argument about Tell. This is why I'm like, still we're backing these things. We're not acknowledging Newcastle don't buy Matisse Tells, do they? Newcastle aren't buying Matisse Tell. No, Newcastle have gone out and they've gone, we're getting Tonali's, we're getting Bruno Guimaraes', we're buying Isak's, right? Even we're buying Anthony Gordon. They're not buying 19-year-old Matisse Tells for the first team. But that's what we want to do that. It's mad.
One more point I just want to make. I think we've basically got one more season to get it together. Otherwise, we are in big trouble. Because the thing is with Newcastle, Villa, and basically a lot of clubs more up the northern way, they haven't got the money to do it. They might have it in the bank, but due to rules, they cannot spend it. Villa and Newcastle will never in a million years, unless they become a bloody Real Madrid, get the same sort of money on a match day that Spurs can. They can't even charge 3/4 or even half of the ticket prices that Spurs can. This sounds like I'm being disrespectful when I say it, but the further up north you go, the poorer it gets. London is where all the money is. No ifs, no buts, no maybes. If there was no London, there would basically be no England or Scotland, basically, yeah. And that is where the money is.
You sound like you're in the Last Kingdom.
It's true though. It's a fact. London covers England and Scotland. London covers everything money-wise. Yeah. Not up north. And if a team like Aston Villa or Newcastle, and I'm using them two as the main ones because Forest, is it a one-off? We shall see, yeah? If they now establish themselves in the Champions League and then go and sell another player for 100 million or 50 million and can start spending more regular because they're now getting in income through Champions League and everything else, we ain't going to be able to touch them within a million miles because they're going to be able to spend their money. The only thing that keeps us close to them at the moment is the fact that we could go out there and slam some money on the bloody table because we can. We've got the money there. We're a London club. We can give extortionate ticket prices to fans who will pay it, who can afford to pay it because it's in London. Same as Fulham do, same as Palace do, same as Arsenal, same as Chelsea. Go for all the other London clubs. And, I mean, Fulham charge more than bloody Man U, Villa, Newcastle and Liverpool. And there is a reason, because they are in London. But I think next season is our last chance before someone like Newcastle or Villa, if Villa go into the Champions League again for the second year running, we've got massive problems to even get close to them.
Like they're there.
Because that's excess income to come into them. They have got money to spend. They are willing to spend it as well. And then that is where we won't be able to touch top four. And we'll be lucky if we even get close to top 6.
Can I tell you, everything you said there, I agree with 99% of it. The 1% where I think you're wrong is I don't think it is going to be another year. I think what you've just described is where we're at. I don't think it is another year. I agree with you, everything. Aston Villa, Newcastle, the tickets they can charge. The difference is they've got owners, right, that want to win. They've got owners that pump all their money into it, or Newcastle's will when they can. And they're proper clubs. They're football. If you go to Villa Park, it's a football club. Newcastle, I'm sure you've all been. I know, Lubo, you got there quite a lot for obvious reasons. So I say obvious, obviously I know why, but you know, when you're around Newcastle, the feel, everything is about Newcastle United. Everything is about the club together, all the pubs, everyone. Spurs is not. Spurs have gone from that so far now. We're a tourist attraction. So yes, we can lump the money down that these clubs can't in theory. But right now, you ask any footballer, do you want to go to Villa or Spurs? Who's picking
look,
Spurs over Villa? Realistically, who's picking Spurs over Newcastle? It's not happening.
But
not
Sav,
happening.
Can I just make a quick point on here with a comment on here? I'm not being disingenuous to Newcastle or anything else. I am talking a fact. Like it or lump it, the money is in London. Why can't Liverpool, one of the biggest clubs on the planet, or Man U, even charge like three quarters of the ticket prices of Fulham? Why? Because Fulham is based in London. And London is just where all the money is. If I go and sell my place now, Southeast London, I get £500,000 for where I live. I can then go up north and get a place bigger, twice the size of mine, or go down Devon, which I've been looking at, and go and get a place twice the size of mine for £275,000. Yeah. That is not being disingenuous. That is not being disrespectful. It might sound it. That is a fact, and that is just how it is. Go and rent a room or a flat in bloody central London or around London. You're paying 1,200, 1,300 for a bloody studio flat. Go and do that up north, up Newcastle, like one of my best friends has done. You get a 4-bedroom house up there for £800. That is the difference. That is what I'm talking about. How much is a pint in the...
I'll tell you what, let's ask the panel. What do you think a pint is in the city of London? The city of London.
12 to 15 easy.
So depending where you go. So last week when I was out with my boys, they were all buying. We went to just a random bar and the pints were £10.75, right? Another place we went into, they were £13.50, right? Now, I think people are getting confused. It's just what things cost. In Newcastle, I fail to believe any pubs are charging over a tenner for a pint. Now, I know that's alcohol talk, but that's... Sorry, Lubo, go on. I know you want to do it.
Right, let me come on a few points. Firstly, what have Newcastle, Villa and Forest got that's different to us since 2019? They've all got new owners.
Yep.
Who are all dedicated to turning their teams into a success. Yes, yep. London is where the money is, but how many London clubs have won the league in the last 50 years? So I think that it disproves that. Let's move on to Newcastle. They cannot build up with their grounds because where they can, behind there, are Grade 2 listed buildings. They looked at building a retractable stand where it would go up for 90 minutes, 2 hours on match or 3 hours on match day and come straight down. To build a retractable stand, I was told, is going to cost pretty much what a new ground is going to cost. So they can only, at the moment, they can only get 52,000 in there. And the facilities are not like ours in terms of conferences, etc., and bringing in off football revenue. So they are looking very seriously at a 70 to 75,000 seater stadium in Lees Park, which is very similar to what Spurs did, but theirs is slightly further out. I think we moved ours like one level, sort of one half a pitch in terms of the playing area. Newcastle's will be slightly more, but still in the same area. So that I think there's talks going on there. They will get there, I'm sure. They are a one club city, 70, 75,000. They will get. All of a sudden, prices. I know prices for next season at Newcastle. I've been told that my pals are starting to look at much higher prices for season tickets. So they're looking to build their revenue as much as they can within the confines of the stadium, but they're also looking at building a new ground. So I look at it in terms of catching up with the rest. I agree with you, Sav. It's crucial we win the Europa League and get in the Champions League next year.
But is anything going to change if we do that? Let me ask you all, and I'll bring Alex in as well. Is anything actually, like, I keep hearing this, guys, right? I've heard this for 25 years. It's crucial we get Champions League. I'm not having a go at you, Lubo, but we do this, right? All the years we qualify for Champions League, I heard it's crucial. Spurs have to get Champions League. If we get it this year, we get Champions League. We get the Champions League money. We still buy cheap. And then people go, oh, but we must get Champions League again. When did we ever act like a Champions League club from getting Champions League? Why is it essential? What's going to change?
My hope is this, that we get Champions League. Spurs are in a position at the moment. Rothschilds have not been able to attract outside investment for a year, which is why I think they brought the ex-Arsenal guy in with his contacts. Spurs are down to host matches in the Euro 2028. A hotel, I think, is part of the contracts. They've got to build that hotel, and you can see they've started the job, albeit in very initial stages, but they've started with the build. They need to find that outside investment, which could look like a similar Jim Ratcliffe Man United Ineos type arrangement. And that for me is our only hope, because the longer Levy stays there, the further we're going to fall behind these clubs. And I think
so basically we need Champions League football so we can build a hotel.
No, we need Champions League football so the club stays relevant, because players will see that.
I'm joking.
For players will see that Spurs can win a trophy, and for the players, it's about medals, because they're all financially set up. Most of them, that play Premier League football. So, on £1 million a year, they're all financially set up, aren't they, for life? So. This is why it's important we win this trophy, because
I don't think it matters at all. I don't think it matters at all if we win this chair. I don't think it matters at all if we win the Europa League. I don't think it matters at all, because for me, we'll have the same conversation that we had last after Conte got sacked, and we got Champions League then. So what happened then?
No, but we're winning a trophy.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't make a block. Ian, you can say whatever you want.
That's the difference, mate.
Well, like I say, I've heard that so many times that it's, what I mean. I'm still not married yet. I can't be bothered to even hear it anymore.
No, but you'll get there.
The point is it about no, I won't because I need to see it. I need to see it. I don't live in Disneyland. The point I'm making is right. Okay, is that for me, right? Us winning winning the Europa League will only enhance the fact that they'll sit there and say, well, it's working. It's working. We've got used youngsters. We've got through Europa League. Let's just carry the strategy on. What's stopping us? What's stopping us? You know what I mean?
16th or 17th in the league will stop you.
But we still won Europa League.
Okay.
And they'll change the manager. And then we'll twerk for that manager for about 10 weeks, and then we'll have the same old cycle again. So for me, I don't know. And then you'll talk about Mikey Moore. I don't care about Mikey Moore because the club don't care about Mikey Moore. Why should I care about Mikey Moore when the club don't care about Mikey Moore? You know what I mean?
You're not the club. You're a fan.
Yeah. Doesn't matter if I'm a fan. The club are supposed to make me want to care about Mikey Moore. They don't act like they care about Mikey Moore, because look what Mikey Moore's doing right now. Jack nothing. You know what I mean? So I'll just go on evidence, because we like to see on evidence.
Let me take this from you, yeah, because I keep saying this to Luba, and I love you, Luba. You're brilliant, yeah. But here it is in a nutshell. Spurs, yeah, are not a football club anymore. You're a multi-purpose sporting arena, right, where multiple things happen. Football is just one revenue stream of many that go into that club, right? That is not their sole purpose. They built this deliberately. We have concerts, we have NFL. They make money, right? People buy food, and believe me, I've been to an NFL protest, yeah. I've seen them close down the road, mate, and I've seen them both sides, yeah, where they've advertised and marketed it spot on. So I know exactly what I'm talking about when I say this to you now, right? I'm telling you now, right? The football is just one small part of what they want to do, right? If the football team would die tomorrow, they wouldn't give a shit. And that's the sadness of Daniel Levy. He's looking at other revenue streams other than football. Football is just one of many. And the fact is, yeah, when you look at Aston Villa, Newcastle, they are solely football clubs, right? There is nothing else going into them. They might have an odd concert now in Villa Park, but most of the majority of the time, yeah, they are football teams, yeah. Even look at how they sell players, yeah. Look how they bought the Abbey, Aston Villa, yeah, for 50 million, and the summer afterwards they sold him for 50 million. When have you seen Daniel Levy do that? we actually keep holding a player so long yet that the money actually gets taken out of the player, so we end up basically giving away for nothing, dude. That's how bad the football club is run. Fundamentally, as a businessman, I look at him and I think, mate, you have zero interest in football.
But Phil, it's not even just that now. Phil, it's not even just that for me right now. Yeah, it's that it's the same conversations we're having. It was like I was listening over. Yeah, right, because I couldn't come on earlier. Like obviously, you know what I mean. But it's just like I'm sitting there, and you all know the answers already. You know what I mean? And it's like, and the thing that worries me at the moment, right, is that I'm still undecided what we're going to do, because even if we win Europa League, I don't know what's going to happen. So players are sitting there thinking, what's going to happen? Because we don't know until Europa League. And I don't even think winning Europa League is actually going to do us any favours anyway at the moment. Even though we're going to be jubilated, even though we're going to be jubilated, and yes, you'll be happy, I don't know whether it's going to actually help us going forward at all, because I just think it's just going to make it even more of them saying, well, it's working. It's working. I mean, so... And that's what worries me at the moment. I don't know. Well, it's not even a worry for me. I don't even care anymore. But
another point, Alex, is I'm agreeing with you here. Yeah, I don't care about the players. I don't care about the manager. I don't really care about the owners. I do not support Levy FC. Well, I literally do, but I do not support Mikey Moore FC. I do not support Son FC or Harry Kane FC. I support Tottenham, and I want what is best for Tottenham. And if Mikey Moore has an exploding, say, 13 games, well done, brilliant, you're playing for Spurs. But then we go and spend 50 million on a player that doubles up what he can do and then gets the rest of the season, and Mikey Moore don't get a showing. Do I actually care that Mikey Moore ain't playing and he ain't getting a show? No, I don't, because he ain't my problem. I want the better player on the pitch because I want what is better for Tottenham. That may sound like a bit cold, but I don't care about the players' personality and whatever. I just want Tottenham to win. And if we get in a better left winger and none of the young players can get into it because we've got a very good left winger there, or a striker, or a defender, or a right back, I really don't care. I just want Tottenham to win. And that is what it is about. That is what sport and football is about.
And I expect us to get
winning. It's about winning things.
It's not what I expect. I expect us to get to the final. I expect us to get to the final, right? Because of the draw at the moment, right? So that's why I'm looking at fans that are saying what they're saying at the moment. You can't blame them. You can't blame them. Why should they care about what Aston Villa are doing at the moment? Why should they care about what Nottingham Forest are doing? Look at where we are in the Europa League. That's what people are saying right now. But for me, at the moment, it's not really grabbing me at the moment, because I'm sitting there thinking, if we won the Europa League, would any of those players get in the best 11, Spurs' best all-time best 11? And the answer is no. None of them. Absolutely none of them.
No, but I think that's going a bit OTT, Alex, saying Spurs best 11.
No, but I'm just making the point, though, Dan. You see what I'm saying? There has to be a point here, and that's what I'm making the point here. You get what I'm saying? Because they've won a trophy. So, Alex, you know, if they're winning a trophy, there must be good for something. So, if I'm looking at the all best 11, right? Would any of those players get into that top in that 11? No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't even touch it. Wouldn't even touch it.
Alex, take your thingy here, right? Let's bring your one down here, right? And let's compare it. Spurs won the Europa League this year. Yeah? Would the players in that team get into the 1984 team, Lubo?
Oh Christ! 1984 team.
There you go. Yeah, the one that won the Europa League, the one that won the UEFA Cup.
Well,
Lubo, you were old enough to remember that.
Clements was injured, wasn't he? So for me, Clements would be in goal. I'm trying to think of the team now. You've thrown me.
I'll find Can I just make a quick point in? Can I just make a quick point in then? Because I can't be bothered to type a long message out. Again, Lynn Simpson, I am not having a dig at Newcastle as a place. Right. How come Newcastle got better players up there, up on the field with less money? Do I really have to be that simple with this answer? Because they have better scouts and spend their money properly. End of. No ifs or buts about it. If you go and give Spurs 300, 400 million, and you go and give Aston Villa or Newcastle or Liverpool 150 million, I bet you the 3 players or 2 players they will buy will make up for the 7 or 8 players Spurs buy. Because we spend our money like utter dickheads. We have no proper scouts at the club, or we just have, it's all down to Levy, whatever way it is. So it's not, I'm not disrespecting Newcastle as a place. I'm just saying how it is. And simple as that, they spend our money better. Who has spent more? Newcastle or Liverpool? Newcastle or Spurs? Like you said, Newcastle. But they bought better players. Same as Aston Villa. Same as every other bloody club does usually that uses half a brain. We have got to be the worst club out there with the amount of money we spend on the players we get. We always go for we always go for quantity, not quality. That is why Newcastle got better players and spent less money. Same as Villa.
So just quickly, sorry, the Tottenham team in 1984 that won the UEFA Cup, Parks in goal, Thomas, Roberts, Miller,
Houghton, yeah,
Stevens, Perryman, Hazard, and Galvin.
Because Hoddle missed that final.
Falco and Archibald, and then on the bench was Mabbott, Crooks, Cook, Culverhouse, and Clements.
I wouldn't have any of them. I wouldn't have any of the current team right now in that team right now. I wouldn't have any of them because
sometimes winning a trophy. I mean, I've missed some of this debate. I apologise. I was just getting ready to I stuck some goujons in the air fryer, so I was just waiting for the thing to heat up. It's just how I roll. Alex, I didn't hear what the conversation was about, but in the grand scheme of things, that doesn't really matter, does it? You know, because let's be fair, the 2 teams are in different eras, different runs. I'm guessing that team, I don't know, can't remember it, didn't have as easy a run as we've just had now. Football's different. So what was the point you were getting at?
Well, my point is that if it was the all-time best 11, right? The Spurs best 11, yeah. Would any of the players currently, if they win Europa League, get into that team? No,
they wouldn't get into. They wouldn't. No. Most of these players wouldn't get into a list of the best 100 Spurs players ever.
So that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's why when people say what they're saying about, oh, we need to give credit to some of these players and like these players, or we should put. I can't do it personally because they don't have any scope for anything to say. Oh, you know what? When I put my best 11, all-time Spurs best 11 out, we'll talk about my all-time best 11 Spurs team. None of them will get in. So that's why I'm sitting there saying I'm just judging it on that. You know what I mean? Because when we do these things, right, and we've just won Europa League with these players, it ain't gonna be it'll be memorable because we ain't won anything for such a long time. It'll be memorable because we won the Europa League, but it just isn't there at the moment. You see what I'm saying? And I don't see anything changing if we're gonna still say and start giving out saying, tell is an answer for us going forward. And I'm not having a go at the kid because I'm not going to go over the top about the kid because I think he's just put in a situation. But I just think this is where we're at, and I don't see anything changing. We're going to have the same conversation next year. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it because we had the same conversation with Conte.
So what actually happens then, guy? Winning this Europa League, yes. Let's put ego aside. As fans, yes, we've won something. People can no longer say it's been 17 years. Let's put all of that biased ego, fan banter to the side. What does it actually do for Tottenham as a club? Realistically, what does it do? We've been here. We've made the Champions League, if I'm not wrong, 6-7 times in the last 2 decades.
Yeah.
And we've never kicked on. We've never bought Champions League players. We've never got more respect from it. Why this? What is different this time? Is it because it comes with winning a trophy? Is that what this is this time? Is because we would have won something as opposed to top 4?
But what the strategy? I don't think anything changes because we don't roll the dice. We're never going to roll the dice like Aston Villa have done. And what I wouldn't say Nottingham Forest because at the moment we don't know what's going to happen next. But you see what Aston Villa are doing at the moment. They're rolling the dice. They're taking chances. You know, taking risks. We're not risk averse. We're not going to do that because we made our choice with the wages that we pay on players and stuff. So why would we change that strategy? Why would we change that strategy just because we got into we won Europa League and got into Champions League? Why should we change that strategy?
One would hope, the answer to that, one would hope, is that Levy's looked at this league position. The sponsors can't be happy. I'm sure sponsors are saying to him, you know, come on, you know, we've come.
I didn't know I had that much effect.
You all right, Lubo?
Oh,
okay.
Lubo, just message us that you're okay, because I was a bit worried. that was a bit sudden. Right. But yeah, I get where he's coming from, but again, I don't really like talking about that sort of thing, because as far as I'm concerned, sponsorship was always available, always there over the years, and we've still not changed. You know what I mean? So I don't, you know, we've had no Champions League for how long? You know what I mean? You know, and had no Champions League for quite a while, certain times as well. So the sponsorship must have been not happy then. So I don't really understand that. I don't really think it's really makes a difference for me, really, if I'm really honest with you.
It's the other thing as well on that side. We have actually got to the point where we don't need the Champions League money.
Exactly.
Yes, we want the extra Champions League money, but we don't need it. Spurs don't need to keep selling youth players that they've built up every 5 minutes like Chelsea do. Spurs are one of the only clubs on this planet that can actually support itself without having to sell players, get in Champions League, get in Europa Cups. There is very few teams that can actually do that. Others have to go out and make their money somewhere else so they can spend the money. Teams like Villa and Newcastle again need to get in Champions Leagues to spend big money because their income just doesn't touch Tottenham.
United need to get
that
it.
Is half the problem, Alex. The fact that we don't even need Champions League to survive anymore. We haven't even sold the stadium rights yet, for God's sake. And that is one of the things I feel as well holds us back now. The fact that we don't need it for the money. That's done us no favors at all.
And the thing is, though, you can't dispel as well if we get a new manager in. And at the moment, I'm still trying to question whether the most important thing at the moment is the director of football and just having coaches that are employed every year or every other 2 years, or just having a manager, having a coach that we can have stable for a couple of years. I'm still torn towards it at the moment, because, you know, one end you don't want to be like Watford, but another end, you know.
Yeah, but this is my struggle with this bit, Alex. Yeah, I look at the director of football, and I've seen multiple directors of football. I've been lucky enough to see Damien Kamoli, Frank Arneson. The question I will always have here is just how much power do these directors of football have? Because I don't think they have as much power as people think they do. I don't think they have that much control over what they can do and what they cannot do as people think they do. And that's my problem as well. I've looked at that and I've said, how much power do you actually have, and how much control, and how much can you actually put down before you reined in as a director of football? Because a lot of people, because when you look at Arneson, I think he only lasted 6 months before he said, I had enough. Even Paul Mitchell came out and said it himself. Yeah, my dream job became a nightmare. Why did it become a nightmare?
Yeah, I'm not dismissing what you're saying. I agree with what you said there. It's just I'm just trying to think forwards, because I know from what I'm only going on what history is. Daniel Levy wants this model of a director of football and a coach. That's what he wants. That's what he's always wanted. He's never really prone to having a manager call the shots. He doesn't like that. He's never liked that, and I don't think he's like that. So I'm trying to figure out how we move forward. What is the best solution at the moment? I'm still trying to figure it out myself at the moment, and I don't know. I think that's a scenario, but I don't know how we could do it.
I think Tottenham need an up-and-coming manager, someone who's learning their trade, a bit like an Areola, someone a bit like that. Yeah, I don't want a high-class manager again. I don't want to see a Conte or Mourinho coming into this club again, because you're not going to give them what they need, and so basically, essentially, you're just going to waste their time coming here, which is what I said at the first place. This is why Conte walked, because end of the day, yeah, right, they're going to come to this club, they're not going to do anything. You're not going to give them what they need in terms of player quality, so you're just wasting their time at the football club. Which is why I said to myself, you know what? Why am I wasting my time watching it? Why am I doing that? What is the point? What am I getting out of it? Nothing whatsoever. Which is why I always dismiss the argument of Conte was his. Yeah, but Conte was never doing anything at Tottenham. Sorry, he wasn't.
Yeah, but Phil, the thing I disagree with, that I wouldn't have a big manager at Spurs again. All day long, I'd take a Jose Mourinho or Conte again if Daniel Levy gave him 400 million to spend.
Mm-hmm.
All day long, every day of the week, all day. I would have another.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that because the thing is though, differences with those managers. You've got to give them what they want, especially Mourinho. You've got to give them what they want.
That's what I just said. 400 million on the spending list.
Yeah, 400 million, but it's the type of players you need. You see what I'm saying?
I bet you Jose would have better scouts of his own knowledge, let alone the scouts we've got of players to look around for.
I think Alex is right, though. For me, sorry, I've just got a Goujon sandwich.
No, that's what I'm saying.
For me, I don't just think it's the 400 million you'd have to give them. It would have to be, it would be the wages. And you'd have to turn around and say, right, you got 400 million. Right, with that 400 million, I'm buying 7 players. Not 17 players for 400 million. I'm buying 6 or 7 that come in and we go, wow, first team starter. Because for me, what should be happening when clubs talk about building squads, the players you bring in should be coming straight in to be number one. And the players that are playing right now should be coming in as rotation players. That, for me, is how you build a squad. What we've been very good at is everyone we buy is kind of pretty much of a muchness of what we've already got. So I agree with both of you. I completely agree with you, Dan. Imagine Jose Mourinho was given £400 million, but also allowed proper wages. Jose wouldn't want a Solanke.
I agree.
He wouldn't want a Solanke.
But even with our low wages, I believe with that bit of money in their pocket, they would still find better players. And they would at least have more knowledge and link-ups around the world without even having to rely on the Spurs bloody scout team sort of thing.
They would, but it comes back to them being winners, Dan.
Yeah,
you've got to do what...
I see where it's coming from.
Jose doesn't want to be here to scout. Jose wants to go
here and there.
That's the guy I need. Give me that guy, I win. I'm not saying we're just using him as the example because he's been at Spurs, right? But for me,
but Jose's done that though. This is my argument from the beginning. Jose did that at Porto. Why would he want to go back? He's been at Real Madrid now. He doesn't want to do that again.
The point was, it wasn't all about him. He was just the example I give Phil when you said I wouldn't want another big manager at Spurs. Do you know what I would? If I was a big manager, I went in at Spurs and you got 400 million, but you've only got this on the wages. I'd turn around and say, right, do me a favour, give me 300 million and stick 100 million on the wages.
Yeah,
it can be as simple as that. But will Spurs do it? No, that is the thing. It's always buts and maybes.
This is where I try and challenge your opinion on this. I just don't see it happening, and this is where I get a bit wound up with Spurs at the moment. This is why I don't envisage it changing anytime soon. Right?
Neither do I.
Is that there are coaches out there, and we've got a very good network of network, right? That we should have a good network with the amount of time we've been in the Premier League for, that we can find managers, coaches out there, and we refuse to do it. We refuse to roll the dice on them. You see what I'm saying? Because
we refuse to do it with anything, Alex. Whether it's players, whether it's bloody, we've done it once or twice with players.
That's the point I'm making.
Going to change.
I'm agreeing with you.
Some maybes.
That's the thing. I'm agreeing with you, and this is where because I won't be surprised if any of the teams that come back up in the Championship, or any of the teams that are who are mid-table at the moment, around us, or just in the top 10, they'll find another coach. They'll find players that will sit there and think, where did they find them from? You see what I'm saying? And this is where I'm just, I just don't know. I don't know where we're going with this. And I think winning Europa League in itself will cloud a lot of judgment over the next couple of years, because they'll say, well, we won Europa League with these players. You know what I mean?
It can take us back even further, is what you're basically saying. Is why do I need to go and spend money when we've got this lot?
Well, you can see.
By the way,
you can see. Yeah.
Does anyone like the box set?
No, I get.
Yeah. I've seen about the box set. I'm not really too into it, but yeah.
Have you seen what's happened with Chris Eubank just now?
What's happened?
He's been fined, didn't he?
Yeah. He's missed the weight by half an ounce, and he's going to be fined £375,000. That's a house. Wow. Look, guys, I think, we all know, right? And listen, there is someone in the chat, right, who's whoever they are, David R1 maybe, or something. It's not your David, Dan. Your David's cool. There's someone in the chat going, R1 Spurs, not David. Going, what did he say? He said, Lubo's the only one. This is the real issue worth discussing. And Lubo's the only one that mentions it. Are you kidding me? We've been talking about Daniel Levy and not buying proper players for years, mate. But what people are talking about, there's a middle ground, R1 Spurs. Now, we may not like it as fans, and see if everyone can follow my logic. There's a middle ground. Just because we don't spend like the big boys doesn't mean we have to be 16th in the league, right? Many clubs don't spend like the big boys and are not 16th in the league. My point has always been, R1 Spurs, that knowing how Daniel Levy operates, if you are not going to pay the wages and get the best players in, then the fundamental you must have is a bloody good coach that can get the best out of what he's got. That's not me saying that's what I want and that's my expectation for the club, but that's got to be the bare minimum, right? All of these clubs like Fulham, Brentford, right? All of these types of clubs, Bournemouth, they don't have the wages and the players to compete with City and Liverpool and Arsenal. But what they do have is very good coaches that build very good squads with limited budgets, and they are man-to-man managers. So when I'm saying, because you say this is what pissed me off, and pretend things will get better, well, things will get better if you have a Poch-type manager. Will things get better to the point where we're winning league titles? No, but they will get better. And you know how I know that, R1 Spurs? Because we've seen it. We had Poch. Things were good. We had Harry Redknapp. Things were good. We had Martin Jol. Things were good. So when you're doing this whole mocking of saying, oh, no one understands the problem, we all understand Daniel Levy's the bloody problem. Even
Why do you think we're always bloody moaning about him?
Even when Lubo and I argue about Daniel Levy in certain regards, no one's ever said he's not the problem. But we can't just sit here and go, well, Levy's here, no point getting a better manager than Ange. Yes, there is. We're a professional football team. Go and get a coach that can at least have us respectable. All of these managers, right? Sorry, I'm on a rant now, right? R1 Spurs. Let me show you how badly wrong you are about this. I'm going to bring this up on the screen now. I hate it when people don't use their brains. This is a list of all Tottenham Hotspur's seasons, right? So as you can see there, you can see where it says where we finished in the column, the third from the right, where it says 10th, 12th, whatever it may be. Let's go to where Daniel Levy picked us up from, right? Let's have a look. So, sorry, I'm on the wrong screen. Where are we? There. Right. So Daniel Levy picks us up in and around here, right? Now, how did this manager possibly get us fifth? That was Martin Jol, by the way. How did this manager get us fifth? How did this manager get us fourth, fifth, fourth, fifth, sixth, fifth, third, second, third, fourth, sixth, fourth, fifth? How did they possibly do that if it doesn't matter who's manager under Daniel Levy? How does that happen?
It comes down to what I've said all season.
Ridiculous.
It's about playing with the cards you've got and knowing how the same thing I say again. Play poker, you can bluff, you have tactics, you bluff too much, you get called out good and proper sooner or later when someone goes all in and destroys you. You have to play with the cards you've got at the end of the day. Now, when it came to Ange with Spurs, okay, 2 main centre-backs out, goalkeeper out. That's going to damage any team, in my opinion. Any team. 2 defenders out was actually his fault, in my opinion. But again, he then didn't adapt to what he's got and play with the cards he's got. He still tried playing with the cards that he had just lost the same way. You can't do that. You have to adapt. When you know that them 2 defenders and goalkeeper have not got the capability of the 2 defenders and goalkeeper you just lost, when one of them can't sprint 100 meters that he should be in the Olympics, for God's sake, you then have to say, right, I've got to change my shit a bit here. I've got to come back a little bit now. I've got to do a little bit of this, little bit of that, wait till I get my players back, and then I can go back to my system. That is what a good manager does. And to me, that is just what a normal manager does, let alone good.
Can I just go back on what you said, though, Dan? Because I know that there's a lot of people that said that the performance away from home against Frankfurt was on Ange, right? I don't believe it is, right? I do not believe it is, because I think it was on the coaches, and I'm sticking by what I say there. And if it is on Ange, he's the worst manager of all time. I'm sorry, right? Because no, I'm sorry. No one does that, right? No one does that, right? They do a tactic, right? If it's working and they've done it, and it's come to what we have done now, get into the semi-final, you enhance on it, you evolve on it, right? He's had how many opportunities doing it? He's done it how many times? He's been successful doing it. Man City, Aston Villa, Brentford. He's gone back to the same thing. So for me, it's his coaching staff telling him, and there's been evidence on that day that it was not him, because he was going to his coaching staff. Or if he's doing it, he's terrible. He's absolutely awful.
Alex, can I take it from you, because I've been dying for a rant for the last month, mate. I've not been able to have a voice because I've had laryngitis, so I've not been able to talk for a month.
Really? Do you want a violin? You keep mentioning your laryngitis. Do you want a violin?
You know me, I'm the world's smallest violin. I've got it right here, my little finger. The world's smallest violin. I'll play it for the people there. I am
Phil, do me a favour. Make yourself known now, bruv. Just make yourself known. There you go. There's the mic.
It has been a year of hearing the same thing going around and around and around and around in circles. I'm not doing this again, right? This man gives Levy a free pass in the transfer window. He said it, and I quote it again. I am happy with the squad, which means that you should, any manager, you should have forward planning and forward thinking and thinking about injuries, suspensions, and fatigue at the time. He did not. So the injuries, I don't give a damn about injuries. That's on you. Because you should have looked at the squad before the start of the season, and before everybody else put Spurs finishing 3rd or 4th or 5th, you should have looked at the squad before the start of the season and realised the squad was paper thin. Because we had sold more players than we had brought in, and we were playing more games this season than last season. And last season, the first season he had under him, there was an injury crisis because Emerson Royale and Ben Davies were playing as centre-backs. Now, I am sick and tired of hearing that one. Now, the other one I have here is he wanted Solanke. So it's his job to make Solanke work. He wanted Brendan Johnson. It was his duty to make Brendan Johnson work. He said that himself. Right. So I am tired of hearing about, he wasn't backed. No, he was backed, Rubai. He told me himself he was backed. And if he wasn't back, totally. Either he was lying then or he's lying now. Which one is he?
He was
now, you want to
totally,
come and tell me that,
He was back totally. And half the injury problem, wouldn't have been a problem if the man would have been a manager and rotated his players. And then he talks about rotating he even admitted that he did not rotate the players enough. If he would have rotated the players more at the back and actually played Spence and other players, we wouldn't have got half the problems we did. Mate, yes, the injuries absolutely just put us on the floor even more. But if he would have actually used rotation, I don't think we would have had half the injury problems we had.
Mate, if there was an injury, Spence wouldn't have played. Spence would still be on the bench. So injuries actually helped him out in a way, because without the injuries here, we wouldn't have known how good Spence was or how he fitted the manager's system better than that. So injuries actually helped the manager.
He tried selling him. They wanted to sell him at the start of the season, but the deal fell through.
I agree.
He didn't even like Spence. He only put Spence on because he had no other option. I mean, put it this way. He disliked Spence that much. Oh, no, but he says he was bringing him out as a player. That he'd rather put bloody Archie Gray on the right wing back than an actual right wing back.
Don't say Archie Gray, because you know who's below you. You know who's below you. Don't say it. Don't say his name, please. Don't say his name.
Why go and put him there when you've actually got the player there who actually plays that way? He didn't use him until he had no other option. And he did that with a couple of players.
Mate, I don't even think Ange thinks before he opens his mouth. I listened to Angepostecoglou, yeah, and I'm going to say this to you now. My man said, yeah, that I actually segregated Spence, yeah, and actually treated him differently from different players. I'm like, bro, do you not know that's victimization, brother? What's wrong with you? Why are you saying these things there? Do you actually not think before you open your mouth? It's like you open your mouth, yeah, and the bone flies out, bro. I'm like, no, brother, please. He said that Tottenham have gears against Aston Villa. Bro, I've seen neutral and backwards since Aston Villa, bro. I'm looking at this man there and I'm thinking, there's a massive hole on the right-hand side here. When you look at Frankfurt game, do you know how many times Frankfurt targeted that where Porro inverted, dude? This is every game. And I'm like, mate, have you not actually looked at do you not actually watch videos of your team, yeah, see how they play and think, you know what, maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I shouldn't invert both of them at the same time, yeah. Maybe I should learn from that game and realize that I shouldn't be playing that way. Even the Liverpool game, man, I said, bro, you're like the Duracell bunny, man. You're losing 5-1, yeah, and you're still carrying on playing the same way, yeah, and being opened up time and time again. You haven't learned anything in 2 years. But am I surprised? No, because I saw that in pre-season. And people were arguing pre-season that we would never see that. No, we did see it again.
Didn't this guy turn around and say there's no reason why we can't be competing this season?
Yep.
Just say, Rich, welcome to the show. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good, cheers. Yeah. I just have to come on and answer Matt, who seems to refuse to come on, even though you give him ample opportunity every show to come on and say his piece. He never seems to find the courage to come on.
Yeah, Matt is. The floor is yours, Rich. What do you want to say to my mate Matt?
Well, it's just I get sick and tired of hearing the whole, but you know, is it Levy or is it Ange? Which one is it? You sort of can't have it both ways. I mean, look, let's face it. Levy's employed the whole footballing structure, which is a shambles. Which, you know, you've got Munn, who's hired his mate, Australian mate Ange, and you've got the project manager in Scotland and Japan who has all the best players in those crap leagues, who's obviously is a win now manager in crap leagues who can't coach a turd out of his own arse, coaching our young players. When you strip back a squad and cut the wages and ramped up the value of the squad by signing Archie Gray, and he's got potential, fine, but it was always going to happen.
Rich, if you're going to mention Archie Gray, you know
don't get me wrong.
You know Lubo's about to spring up in his seat and have a go at you. You know that, right?
I know it's a bad example, maybe Archie. I won't pick on Archie, but what I would say is I've never known a season like it. I mean, I'm 46 this year, right? And this club, I swear to God, we're a social experiment. We've got the shittest manager we've ever had, but we could actually win a trophy. But if we win the trophy, we could get relegated next season with how bonkers he is. I mean, make it make sense. What is going on?
Rich, when I look at Ange here, I see Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz. You know when they click the heels together, man, and they say the words now, yeah, we're not in Kansas anymore. That's what I see when I look at Angepostecoglou, man. Because I swear that this man still thinks he's at Celtic at Tottenham, but you realise there's a goal class between the Celtic here and Tottenham Hotspurs. There's more rivals down here, yeah, and more teams here that are better than you, right, tactically, and they like school you. But you're still using Celtic tactics, thinking that you're the best team in this league. You are nowhere near it, mate. Nowhere near it.
Let me put it this way: who actually thought that when we got Ange in, it was an extremely bad idea?
I didn't care about him. I was told, and I've got it on stream, and Savva, you can
No,
vouch
you've
me
said it
for it as
before.
well.
No,
Savva,
I've heard you say
can
it
vouch
before.
me as well, right? Danny said to me, "Go and watch the documentary on Angepostecoglou. He's gonna make you feel better. He's gonna
not
make
me.
you feel better."
I didn't say that to you.
No, you didn't say it. Danny
I know.
Kiriakou, my mate, but he's deluded.
Never listened to Danny Kiriakou.
I know, but he was telling me. I've got the quote, by the way. Yeah, but
He was probably winding you up, Alex.
I know. I love him anyway. I'm glad he's back on YouTube. By
My
the way,
point is, Alex. My point is that there wasn't many who thought it was a terrible idea. Yeah, there were some out there who knew how it was, knew what it was. I knew who he was, but didn't really know nothing about him, sort of thing. I didn't think it was the worst idea. A lot of others didn't think it was the worst idea. They were just more interested in like, okay, he's done this up there. Let's see if he can hack it down here. And I thought we were going to get the sort of Brighton sort of manager sort of thing, who's got a few touches and here and there and knows how to deal with the cards he's got and everything else, and how to get a few rusty diamonds in as such sort of thing, rough cut diamonds in. That's what I thought would happen or could happen. Totally wrong. We got a manager that I just personally can't think handle the Premier League no matter where he is. Not many people actually sat here and said, what? We're getting Angepostecoglou. What? For fuck? Are you stupid? Are you this? Are you... Not many people actually said that. I would say 90% of Spurs fans actually went, okay, let's see what he can do.
Dan, that's where I was. Dan, that's where I was. I said, okay, this guy looks like he's got something about him. He looks like he's I don't want to use the word visionary, but
it looks like positive. It looks like a positive sign.
He looks innovative. But what we saw was the positivity and the innovation was because he was winning week in, week out with Celtic, right? What we saw very quickly, the first 10 games at Spurs, laughing and joking with the media. Hey, me and you, Mr. and Mrs. Presenter, we're all good friends, aren't we? Hey, buddy, old friend. As soon as it started to go wrong, we saw that wasn't his demeanor. That wasn't his personality. We saw that there wasn't any innovation on the football pitch. So opinions can change. I got it wrong. I was like, yeah, cool. I'm down for this. And then very quickly, as you know, Dan, I was like, nah, I'm not down for this anymore.
That more because of
you
content.
Actually held up for it. And I say defended him, but longer than I bloody did, yeah. And as all you kept saying was, okay, same as me at first. So far, so good when everyone's saying get on the Ange train, choo-choo, and all this bullshit. You sat there, same as I did, because we've done a few shows together on there and that, where it was, okay, so far, so good. Let's see how it goes. 7 games, I said, okay, so far, so good. But if he keeps playing that way, he'll get sussed out within the next 15, 20 games. And people can vouch me on that. Lo and behold, after the 10th game, another 2 games in, he's been totally sussed out ever since. But I did not get him at Spurs and say, oh, we've got a crap manager, this and that, everything else. I don't want him now. I was interested to see, right, okay, he's done it at Scotland. We all know the Scottish League with Celtic. Any one of us could probably bloody do it in there because it's that bloody simple. But, okay, let's see if he can come to the Premier League and do it. Like Wenger did when he came over here and did it with Arsenal. It's not that I was against Ange from the minute he got here. I was interested to see, okay, mate, let's see if you can do your stuff here. And he couldn't.
The problem is, though, we saw, and by the way, Phil, yeah, don't get used to this, your analogy of abracadabra about Ange is brilliant, absolutely brilliant, by the way, because it sums up what happened against Frankfurt. You know what I mean? Absolutely, because that's what he done. That's what he literally done, by the way. But yeah, for me, I think it's 2 things, and unfortunately, I'm gonna have to bring it up. The fan base, right? Because I said I didn't like Ange because of also the fan base, right? And the fact that we didn't give it 18 months, right? We didn't give it any more than 18 months. We gave it 10 weeks of the first season, first part of the season, right? Those 10 games, whatever it was, and everyone was like on cloud 9. Everyone was like on cloud 9.
Not everyone.
I know.
I'd say about 90%. I'd say about 90%.
Dan and I sat here and said we're worried by what we're watching in this first 10 games.
I know, but I think for you, Savva, I think it was more to do with this is new, but also you couldn't stand Conte. you couldn't stand Conte. To be fair to you, you were like, I need something different. I need something to invigorate me. And you saw something and you thought, okay, let's give this a go. And I think because everyone was having a go at you, right? Again, I'm defending you here, by the way, Savva. Hear me out.
I won't get used to it. I won't get used to it.
Yeah. Because everyone's was waiting for you to say something positive. I think that's where you were going. That, you know what I mean? But you're like, let's see what happens. But for me, like, I think the whole 10 games thing just sums up Tottenham. He didn't need to do that much to get the fan base on board. What you said, Dan, by the way, yeah? Which now goes back to what I'm saying. What gives us stop that it's going to happen again with the next manager? You know what I mean? What is going to give it another stop?
With Conte,
sorry, guys. Sorry, I need to get some super chats in. Sorry, guys. I'll be putting it off. Just before we do, I had to bring this comment up because when we're saying this, and I hope this is a bit tongue in cheek because I've just done some working out in the background. When you say, do you morons think we're Barcelona or something? We're historically a mid-table team. Does anyone on the panel? No, let me get some guesses from you all. In the 25 seasons that Daniel Levy and Enoch have overseen at Tottenham Hotspur, does anyone know our average league position?
7th, isn't it? Something like that.
Okay, 6th.
6th, 7th.
Yeah, 6th or 7th, you think?
Heck. Philly?
Yeah.
6, I would say.
5.6. So yes, rounded up to 6. Our average league position for 25 years is 5.6. So when people come on and constantly tell me, but we're a mid-table team, right? But Ange isn't doing that bad. It's the owners, not the manager. Now, I'm not sticking up for Daniel Levy here, but even the most ardent of Levy haters, Lubo, you've got to agree with me here. If our average position is 5.6 over 25 years, then it shows you that this season isn't all on Levy. It is very much this manager is shocking because
totally agree.
16th is not our norm. 10th is not our norm. 5.6. Now, before I get to the super chats, I've got to address this. First of all, Matt, I genuinely don't think you understand sarcasm. When I sit here and say, I will not say Levy out for a year if he sacks Ange, it is tongue-in-cheek purely because I hate the manager that much.
He's taking the...
Matt, I'm taking the piss because I genuinely hate Levy. The difference is, Matt, one of them can go like that, right? One of them can... Let's be fair, gentlemen. Daniel Levy could sack Angepostecoglou in the next 3 minutes with no hesitation, correct? He can call him in an office. Yeah. You've had enough. See you later. No
he
one
sacked
can
a manager at half time.
Right. So no one can sack Daniel Levy in a day. You can't just sack Daniel Levy. Yes, we want him out and we can talk about protests and all that stuff. But this whole nonsense that Savva hates Ange more than Levy. Well, at the moment, yes, because Angepostecoglou has my football club and our football club 16th in the league, mate, with a record number of losses. And as my man Rich, who's just rocked up, has said, dude, you've always got the option of coming on, but you always shit your pants. You say stupid shit. You wouldn't be able to say it live. Super chats. EJ has said, no pressure, Savva. Live on the big screen right now at school. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Really appreciate that. I'm sure I'm not on a big screen at any school. That would just be baffling for so many reasons. Anthony Clark, always with the super stickers. Big up to you, my friend. Always very generous. Thank you. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you. The 2 marks, the cookie, the cookmeister. It's a great show as always, Savva. Big up to you and all the superb lads you assemble on this show. Superb content and consistency as always. Mark, you can't keep saying nice things to me. I'll get used to it. And Alex tells me, don't get used to anything. So thank you very much, Mark. George has said, thanks for giving us all a channel to voice our opinions about our club. Good luck with the channel going forward, Savva. Are you off, George? You've been a member for 20 months. Is that it? Have you had enough? Good luck. See you later. No, thank you very much, George. I really, really, really do appreciate you. Thank you for the kind words. Big up to DMB forever with a super sticker, as always. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Corey boy, big up to you, Corey. I said I was always Ange out from day one. Yes, you were. I fully remember you being Ange out from day one. And Olmo said, would you boys take Garnacho? We're selling him. No, I wouldn't. I'll ask the panel. I wouldn't. I don't mind Garnacho. I think Garnacho is going to be a very good footballer, but he's another one where I think needs to go, play for a manager that's going to play him, develop him, and in a few years, maybe. I don't want another developing player to join Tottenham Hotspur. Anyone, would you take Garnacho?
How many more left wingers do we need?
Yeah.
Amen. How many?
Garnacho, Yang, Moore, Odegaard, Son, Solomon, Hill.
Here's the question for you: how many wingers was Spurs bought in the last 2 years? Because that's all we keep buying. Every window, it's another winger coming in, and each one of them, it seems to be a great.
Right, Johnson, Odegaard, Solomon, Yang, Tell, Werner. Moore's coming through the youth team.
And I don't think any of them, bar Archie Gray, I don't think we do buy wingers at all. Because none of them you have mentioned, bar not even Archie Gray, Mikey Moore is a winger. To me,
you know what I mean?
Inside forwards.
We buy them to put them there, right?
Yeah, we don't even bloody play. We don't even bloody play wingers. We play inside forwards, basically. Yeah, we haven't actually bought a bloody winger who can get up the side of the pitch and cross it in, where you can then have the 10 come in there. You can have the number 9 where he should be, and then you can also have the one on the other side use him inverted as inside forward. But the only person we have got who can have a chance of doing that is, in my opinion, if we go and stick Porro up on the right hand side and tell him stick on the right hand side, stay as the right winger basically, and just keep pumping the balls in the net across the drill them everything you can, so whoever's on the left can invert, and then Madison can get forward, and then also Solanke can be in the box as well. We don't do that. Both our sides invert, and the most we do is put the ball across the bloody floor to do something, to do a sweaty pass like we do in FIFA.
Yeah, but Danny, all you have to do is play them as wing backs. Get forward and let them cross the ball. That's what wing backs do. Look at Inter Milan, bro. You support Inter Milan. Look at Italy.
Look, I'm just telling you how it is at Spurs. Even if we just didn't use them as fullbacks properly, or just even push them up a little bit in that, if we had at least one that was a winger and used him as a winger that would cross the ball in, I think it would just give us so much more option in the air and on the floor, instead of just doing a sweaty FIFA pass all the time, putting it across, hoping that Johnson or Solanke is going to be able to tap it in.
I agree.
We don't use a wing. I'm not saying use both sides a winger, but if we're going to do it Angie's way sort of thing, at least use one of them as an out-and-out winger to get the crosses in.
I 100% agree with you. And this is why I don't want Ange as a manager, because anyone who's got half a brain can see that these players have to go on the outside, and whip the ball, and cross and play on the overlap. Yet this manager is insistent on playing them as inverted wing. They're not inverted players. They go on the overlap, man. Porro is one of the best crossers in the squad. Yeah, he's not allowed to go on the outside and do that. So what are you doing here? I don't want to see that, man.
Exactly. And the players we've got up front as well can't cross the ball come love nor money. Timo Werner, he's one of the only ones we got now who can actually take his man on and get past it, but he can't do nothing else with it. Johnson very, very rarely puts a cross in there, and yet he seems to get in the right place to tap it in the back of the net. 16 goals, you can't take that away from him, but I don't rate him as a player. Kulusevski, he can't get the consistent crosses in there because he's not a bloody right winger. And he's on the wrong side if you want crosses coming in. If it's actual crosses you want coming in, you need a right-footed person on the right side of the pitch, or vice versa on the other side. Now, if you want your one to invert, then obviously you want the left-footed one on the right-hand side and vice versa. But we do not have any player inside forward up there. Son can't cross the ball come love nor money. He never bloody could. His passing has never even been great either. It's been okay, but he's never been special at it. We don't have a single winger there, bar possibly Porro, who could pass and cross consistently and get it right, let's say 65, 70% of the time, unlike Johnson, who needs about 20, 30 attempts just to get one good cross or pass in there.
And Odegaard's the same. Odegaard
you would not be abused, Matt. You would stop using this excuse. You would not be abused. You would be welcomed, and you could say your point. Stop doing this excuse, Matt. It's the boy that cried wolf, right? Oh, I'll be abused. You won't be. You'll be challenged, right? Your opinions will be challenged. Come, Matt. I'll tell you what. I'll put the link in just for Matt. Matt, everyone's going to see now whether or not you've got the balls to come on, or whether you just want to sit there and cry in the chat and waffle. There you go. The link is just for Matt. No one else will be allowed on. No one. Sorry, guys, as you were.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, don't you think that's the definition of insanity then? Keep doing the same thing and then expecting another result. Because like you said, yeah, the only ones who can actually go down the side and cross the ball is actually Porro, and yet he doesn't do it because it's in vain. So it's the definition of insanity every single game, which is why I just look at it and think, mate, I just don't want to see you anymore.
Look at it this way.
It's time you get rid of you.
Look at it this way, yeah. I love Conte as a manager and his style of play, yeah. One of the problems he did have at Spurs is he did exactly what Ange did to an extent, as far as I'm concerned, in the aspects of he did not play the players in their right positions to what they're at their best at. But he seemed to still get a lot more out of it doing it that way than Ange did when he was playing the players in the wrong positions. Because Conte is a quality manager and knew what he had to do with such a crap defence and everything and that, yeah? He just basically had to shut up shop half the time and catch on a counter-attack and hope that Son and Kane got it right, which it did work. He got us in fourth place, which was a miracle, basically, compared to where we were when he got here. And he left us in fourth place as well. He was playing players out of position as well because he had no option because he wanted to play his tactics. But the strange thing is, he played them all, a lot of players out of their sync as such, not what they are best at. And he still managed to get consistent results. Yes, there were screw-ups as well, but we were still in fourth place. Whereas Ange, he plays them out of sync or whatever, and he can't get a result come love nor money. For me, that just shows who is definitely the superior manager, because they both actually done the same thing to an extent.
Just quickly, let me get a super chat in. Big up to Corey. Thank you very much for the super chat. He said, the fact I've been consistent with my dislike for Ange says it all. I was right from day one. I even had a death threat sent to me for my view on Ange. Corey, if you're getting death threats, if you're getting abuse, if they're talking about you, you're doing something right. It's taken me a long time, and a lot of people to make me realize this. You're doing something right, mate. If your opinions are rattling people that much, it's for a bloody good reason, because they know you're right.
Exactly.
Corey, fair play to you. Yes, you from day one, you did say to me, don't want this guy. He's rubbish. Don't want him. And unfortunately, you were very, very right. So big up to you, Corey. You don't have to spend your money with me, bro. You know that. Don't worry about that. You know I'm going to read your comments out anyway.
Let me answer something, Savva. Please let me answer this one, because everybody else has answered this here, except for Luba, actually. So, right, Angepostecoglou, yeah, I gave him I said strike one, yeah, was the Fulham game in the League Cup, and he made them 9 changes in one match. I said, you're disjointing the team, you're doing them kind of changes in one game, yeah. You take any momentum in that squad that you had, yeah, right, and change out for the League Cup. So when we got beaten on penalties, yeah, I said that's what you deserve, that, because you shouldn't have changed that many players in the team, all right? And that was the wrong outset. So anyone saying a winning mentality, you don't change 9 players before a cup match, because that's why you don't do it, because you need momentum going into that match. Now the other one I had, yeah, and the one I remember, yeah, because I think I was a game just before you, was a Sheffield United game, and I said Sheffield United, yeah, had taken the lead, right, and we were playing the same way and we were getting nothing. But Sheffield United were dirty, yeah, and they were rolling on the floor, and we were playing extra time, and then their team ran out of steam towards the end of the game, and then Tottenham came back into the game. And I remember I was in your chat, yeah, and I remember you had sitting there, yeah, and I was slating the team, and it was like, yo, man, you need to step off. I was like, bro, I'm coming for this manager, you know. And that was the day I said to myself, Ange out. I can't do this with this manager. And that was still in the 10-game run. And then I looked, and then the next game was the Chelsea one with the high line for life. And that was the one where everyone went, no, we can't be doing that. And then I just literally looked at this manager, and every single game, it's one ball over the top. It's one ball down the side. There's always an out ball. There's 2 men at the back. It's 2-0-8 in midfield. I don't want to see that, because that's not even a FIFA, by the way, 2-0-8. I don't want to see them kind of nasty tactics, bro. Angepostecoglou, yeah. I was out with Angepostecoglou, yeah, from game 9, man, and that was still in the 10-game run. I didn't buy into his get on the Ange train, yeah, because I don't like that's not for me. I need to see evidence, but what I'm going to say to you, yeah, is I have to give a man the time to show me what they've got, yeah, before I can make a decision on them. And that's in anything in life. You've got to see what the person's about, see what they can offer you, and if they're not right for the job, you get rid of them. All right, and most jobs, yeah, it's 6 months, not 18 months.
But what's the question? You said you got a question for me, and only me and Lubo haven't answered it. You haven't answered. You haven't asked a question.
Oh, your question for you, yeah, right? I know you was game 9, yeah. You had enough of Angepostecoglou, but who would you have for this next match? Real and truly, yeah, right? I look at next manager, and I think I don't care who the next manager is. Because I know fundamentally, yeah, they'll only get to a certain point and then go backwards. Yes, I care about the team, but they'll only get to a certain point and then go backwards. Because that's just the way that we are run as fundamentally as a football club. There is no excuse for being 16th place, by the way, and Ange doesn't get a free pass, right? But if you're playing,
what's the question? What is the question? What is the question? I don't know. I don't know. Is it who I would want as manager, or when was I Ange out?
When we were Ange out, and Highline for life, I know.
I was Ange out the moment he started doing this. The moment I saw him do this was the moment I went, this guy's batshit crazy. Like this guy's not got any proper coaching badges or anything. This guy's awful. Sorry, I'm just holding Stanley because he's attacking Stewie.
Do you remember how many times that game, yeah, that moment there, yeah? Do you remember how many times, yeah, that Nicholas Jackson got in? Because Jackson hit the high notes here, 1, 2, 3, ABC in that game, yeah? But do you remember how many times
that game should have been 10-1. Chelsea, chance after chance. We had fans coming out afterwards saying, oh, love that. I love that our manager's brave. Brave? That's not the word. And look, the manager I would want, I think it all depends. It all depends on who we buy as players. I like a Glasner. I like the idea of Glasner. I like the idea. Stop crying. Oh, I know. Come on. I like the idea of Glasner. I like the idea of Xavi. I like the idea of Xavi to work with some of the younger players we've got. I think he'd garner a lot of respect. I think if you walk in the dressing room and see Xavi, one of the best players that ever played the game, played for 2 of the greatest teams ever in Spain and Barcelona, I think you straight away get a lot more respect. I would take Holness of Stuttgart. I think he's a very good underrated manager. I would take Iriola. I would take Silva. Mate, I'm at the stage, Philly, where there are so many I would take purely because this man has dropped the levels so low, so low that he makes all of these managers look like Sir Alex Ferguson and Pep Guardiola. He's
Savva,
that bad a manager.
I would even, like I said on a show last night, if it comes to the crunch, I'd even accept Scott Parker. No, not a choice I'd go for, but I'd accept him because I would feel he wouldn't do a worse job than Ange, and I feel he's got more capability and more knowledge in the Premier League as such, and defensive-wise, that he would know how to get better out of these players. I'm not saying he's going to get us into like 5th place, 2nd place, win a cup, but I think he will do significantly better and get us more around of what we should be, at least a 7th maybe, than what Ange could do.
You know what you would see, Dan? Listen, I'm not saying I want Parker either, but I can guarantee you a few things, right? I'm not going to see that if Parker's doing our defence. I'm not going to see this if Scott Parker's sorting out our defence. I'm not going to see this if Scott Parker's sorting out our defence. I'm not going to see this if Scott Parker's sorting... Listen.
Because for me, he was a player. I actually liked him a lot. Yeah? I actually liked him a lot as a player. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Because he was basically a defensive midfielder, the way I looked on him, or centre mid, but mainly he was very defensive style sort of thing. He was just, in a way, you can put him on the same sort of type as McGuinn. And now I'm not saying he's better than McGuinn, yeah, but the same sort of person. Nothing really flary, nothing stands out in particular, no major skill, just right to the point. I can do my job, I can tackle, I can cover the ball, I will get it up the other end of the neck, and I can also be a captain because I also he was captain material as well. And as a player, he was just a simple. He knew what he had to do, and he done a good job. I didn't think Scott Parker was a bad player at all. I'm not saying he was great, but I think he was a good.
Everything we need now.
Yeah, I think on the pitch now, I'd absolutely love to have him on the pitch. But like I'm saying, I'm not saying he's a world-class player or nothing, but he knows his bloody place and he knows the bloody job. Plus, he knows the Premier League. And I just personally think he would do a significantly better job, also with the younger players we've got, which we have got a lot of, than Ange does.
I fear for the youngsters under Ange, you know. I'm not going to lie. I fear for them under Ange. That one
I feel for the club.
Yeah. No. Us as a club, yes, but under Ange Postecoglou, I fear for them. That Arsenal game, yeah, in the second half, right, he took off the two major centre halves here and left the two major midfielders here and left Bergwijn in the middle against all the Arsenal midfielders, if you remember rightly. So he was basically exposed here against the whole of Arsenal's midfield on his own as a DM. And I looked at that and I thought, what are you doing to an 18-year-old? How dare you do that to the boy? He's not even, that boy's just come into this country from Sweden, right, which is a lower league. He's learning his trade, and you've just left him exposed against one of the best midfielders here in the Premier League. What kind of confidence do you think that's going to give him? You're going to destroy him before he's even there. And I thought to myself, you know what? I don't want you playing youngsters under Ange. Because if that's the way that you're going to do them, you're going to do them dirty, dude, and I don't want to see it.
I get what you're saying. If you're not ready, then you shouldn't even be on the bloody pitch, as far as I'm concerned. Whether you're 16 or whether you're 66, if you are claimed good enough to be in that first team, yeah, then I don't care how old you are. You are a Premier League player and you are in a Premier League team, so I expect a certain standard. But I also get exactly what you're saying. Why go and put an inexperienced player in front of this? But on the other side, if he can't handle certain things on the pitch or can't handle the Premier League yet, he shouldn't even be in the bloody team. But I agree with you on the way Ange basically exposed him.
Well, talking about Bergwijn, Lubo, I'm going to bring you in and then I'm going to get Richie's opinion on this. So Terry's just, I'm guessing, I've just seen there was a press conference with Ange on the TV. I saw his face and then looked back. Apparently he's just said this. He said, Postecoglou and Archie Gray, he said, if you had said at the start of the season that Lucas, Bergwijn, Archie Gray and Mikey Moore would have played as much as they have, I'd have said it was impossible. Impossible, Lubo, to give Mikey Moore the whole 400 minutes or whatever he's had. What do you make of this, Lubo? What do you make of it?
Well,
oh, no. Lubo, where you gone?
You said. That's right. I've got you back now.
You're back, Lubo, because there's no one better to answer this question than you.
Do you want to hear?
Can you hear me?
Bad line.
I agree. Archie Gray is shit. I think the panel agrees with you, Lubo. I think the panel agrees with you. Shouldn't be anywhere near first 11 City. Oh, guys, why don't we try and get Lubo? Lubo, you back?
No, it's
Lubo.
Not. It's not. It's a bad line.
Lubo. Last chance. No. Right. Whilst we wait for Lubo to sort his camera out, Rich, Archie Gray, lack of minutes. The question, and then he said that they've had a lot of minutes. What do you make of this?
Well, it's just not so glaringly obvious, isn't it? It's another bit of Postecoglou gaslighting. He's played Archie Gray out of position, hung him out to dry at centre half or wing back in a chaotic system where the players are playing with no spatial awareness of where each other are because they're just like completely. They're just not coached, are they?
Mm.
They're literally running around like headless chickens. They don't know when to press. They don't press together. They don't have any organisation. They don't have any sense of where each other are in time and space on the pitch. It's like they've got flipping seriously PTSD the way they're playing. It's so chaotic. So when you're talking about players like Bergvall and Gray, Philly's right. He's hung them out to dry. This is a manager who is playing the kids only when he really has to, because he's completely wiped out the other one's hamstrings, and he's playing them in a completely out of position, in the most ridiculous system I've ever seen in my life, like the horseshoe system with no midfield. He's brought the worst out of every player. I can't think of one player he's brought the best out of in the whole team, let alone the youngsters.
Yeah, it's
the
mad,
only one
isn't
you
it?
can say he has is Johnson. That's the only one you can say has improved, and that's
only because of the system, because he's in that place, because
exactly.
of
That is the only reason.
type football we play with the same move
I'm
every
agreeing
time.
with you.
It just goes
it's like playing
across and they
FIFA.
just
We literally play it like FIFA. Leg it down the side, sweat ball across, tap it in.
But the thing is, I mean, there's been a lot of talk this year about Archie Gray, and I've maintained the whole season I genuinely don't know how good he is, because I genuinely haven't really seen him played in his position. I've never watched him in defence and gone, wow, you're technically superb, or you've got to start. But I'm told by so many, apparently, that watched every single Leeds United game, apparently, that this guy should be starting centre mid for Spurs. The worrying thing for me is the fact that we talked about this so many times, Dan. Rich and Philly, you've probably heard us talk about this, is that we did spend a chunk of our transfer budget on this player just to not give him any minutes in his actual position. It's just Spursy. It's just so Spursy, isn't it?
Yeah,
for that money, we could have bought
stupid.
For that money, we could have bought Kefram Thuram, Manu Kone.
Mm-hmm.
We could have bought Fofana. By the way, these people all went to Milan, Roma, and Juventus, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've got more money than, could probably offer more wages than. They were all under 20 million euros, if I'm not wrong. We've played against one of them this year, if you remember.
I think their wages, Savva, are actually less than Archie Gray's, two of them.
Right. So if you remember, we played Roma, and Manu Kone was excellent in midfield. So you're looking at these players going, we could have had them. We didn't. It's all baffling, isn't it, what we're doing? It's baffling.
Yeah, but Savva, that interview, throw that one up again. Because I'm swear down, I told you, this man doesn't think before he opens his mouth. He's now just basically said, what we've been saying for the last few months, and that is this. Those kids here, Archie Gray, Lucas Bergvall, and Mikey Moore would have hardly got any of the minutes had there not been injuries. Remember the injuries that people were crying about? Oh, with injuries that Ange's struggling. Yeah, them one, the boohoo ones, yeah? Right? They wouldn't have had hardly any minutes had they had played, right? Had their injuries not happened, right? So injuries have helped Ange by bringing them players through and giving us a chance to see them players play, right? So again, Tottenham didn't fix the first team in the summer. They just fixed this. They just supplemented the squad. They didn't add to the first team to say, you know what, let's better the first team like the Aston Villas did, and think let's work on the first team to let us
didn't
compete.
even improve the squad field.
Amen.
They basically bought the kids in, and it was a major step down to what we already had in the position. And the only reason the majority of them even saw time of day, let alone got some serious game time, was because of injuries. As all they would have seen was the odd game against Carrierbag or something. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Or they might have seen a game against Coventry, which we nearly got destroyed in anyway. Yeah. God. And that is all they would have seen time of day. Apart from that, I don't think you'd have seen them on the pitch if we would have had a season that weren't ragged with injuries like it was, which is still down to the manager, because a lot of the injuries were down to his bloody system.
I agree.
Sav, were you asking me about Bergvall?
No, it was that basically Ange was asked just now about the lack of minutes for Archie Gray, and his response was, if you had said to me at the beginning of the season that Bergvall, Gray and Moore would play the amount of minutes they've had this season, I would have said it was impossible. So I just wonder what your take on his spin. For me, it's a spin. I wonder what your take on that was.
Well, listen, Gray's played 40 out of 52. He's played in 40 out of 52. So he's had a fair run. Bergvall has come through. Moore is the one that, for me, has been basically really neglected. I mean, what a waste of 10 million euros on Tell. Should have been playing Mikey Moore the whole time. You know, throw him in. If he's not good enough, then, okay, he either does one of several things. He has a loan. He goes out on he goes into the under-21s. They bulk him up, or he hangs around the first team squad and he plays in the odd game. So, but for what they've done and to bring Tell in, I think is poor. I think in terms of just going back to what the guys were saying about Bergvall, I mean, he's been the success story out of all the players this season.
Yeah,
he
established himself in the team. But
he really has.
Still,
he's been the one.
Do you think he would have got the game? Do you think he would have got the game time in if there wouldn't have been injuries like there was?
How many injuries have there been in midfield though? Basuma,
At times
Benson.
there was a couple as well. I'm just saying. Do you think that
not so much
any of these players?
Well, yes, I think Bergvall would have done.
Okay.
I don't think Gray would have got anywhere near as much game time, and Moore's just. I mean, that's his minutes are irrelevant. They're not even worth talking about. But I think, you know.
Would you like to know what they are, Lubo? Here you go. I'll ask some questions. You guys tell me. So Premier League only, right?
Yeah.
On the panel, everyone in the chat, you can play along. How many appearances has he made? How many appearances has he made in the Premier League?
Sorry, which player?
Mikey Moore.
Mikey Moore has played
2, cool. And he hasn't even played. One is a sub. And...
What appearances in the Premier League
this season?
This season.
Does that include? Does that include unused subs or actually coming on the pitch?
That includes just coming on the pitch. How many games did he feature in?
Can't be more than a handful.
Yeah.
So the answer is 7, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
He has featured in 6% of all the minutes in the Premier League this season. 6%.
Okay.
I'm going to go and look at Ethan Nwaneri now to find out. Mm-hmm. And again, because the reason I'm going to put them together, same age, same Youth England setup, right?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. So Ethan, what's it? Nwaneri, isn't it? Ethan Nwaneri, transfer market. Here we go. So Ethan Nwaneri.
Nwaneri, Savva. Nwaneri.
Oh God, when did you creep in here?
Why are you here? You let me in, Mr. Tavernier.
Do you know how many appearances he has had in the Premier League?
15.
24 appearances in the Premier League.
24.
6 in the Champions League, so that's 30. 4 in the Europa League, that's 34. And that's it. So he's played 34 times for Arsenal this season. Think of that development compared to Mikey Moore. Sure. 34 times.
And the two players, Sav, have come through. They've been the 2 stars, you know, in each England age group, coming through the the teenage age groups. And here you have one manager who recognises a talent and has given him an opportunity to play. And I'm sure initially he wouldn't have brought him in and played him so much, but for Saka's injury. But he's taken the opportunity brilliantly, and that's the difference between Arteta and Postecoglou. One believes in youth, and one believes in youth, and the other one doesn't.
I hear that, but even since Saka's come back, they bring him off the bench. He's getting 25 minutes, 30 minutes. You know, we're just not doing anything with ours. Look, I just feel it was a bit disingenuous. But Barry, hello.
Hello.
How are we?
Good. You?
Very well, thank you. Very well. Yes.
Good.
Got a lot of welfare checks yesterday, but I'm all right. All right.
Okay.
I'm good. Yeah. Listen, Barry. Ange has been talking again. Actually, before we go to that, have you guys seen that there's a lot of reports flying around today that we are looking at taking this lad? I don't know if any of you have seen this. His name is Axel. I want to be English and say Tape, but I'm guessing it's Tape or something.
Yes.
Right. If you here we go, and I'm just gonna show you, right? It's on Yahoo are running it, Team Talk are running it, Sport Football, The Independent are running it. They're all running it. That we're looking at this 17-year-old called Axel Tape, Axel Tape Cabrisa, who plays as a centre back or as a midfielder for PSG. He's made one first team appearance for PSG, one appearance for the France under-18s, and that one appearance was in the Coupe de France. Barry, another 17-year-old. Good times, eh?
Well, only for one of us on this panel that get excited about it. It won't be many. I think Lubo's probably more excited about it than us, but look, it's who we are, no? It's who we are.
Listen, I say, Barry, I can't believe you haven't been shouting and screaming about AC Milan beating Inter 3-0 in the Coppa Italia.
Well, it'd have been 5 if Emerson was playing, but we don't want to get into that.
Sorry. So Emerson
they've been Inter's bogey team this year. AC Milan have been Inter's bogey team this year. Simple as that. They have been. There's about 4 games now.
Lubo, I've got more respect for Philly because I know Philly would come with the Milan hate. So I'm not going to do it backwards, because he's done it all season and he's bit one of them, right?
I'm into Milan. I'm into Milan.
Bit like his Madrid team that got done by the Gooners.
Well, Barry. Actually, I do.
I'm into Milan. I just know Inter are bigger than AC Milan, and they've won more.
Right,
Philly. When I got the wins, mate, I got to take them, mate. I got to take the wins when I can get them, mate. So it's fine. Don't worry.
Barry,
you destroyed us in that game.
You know what? I ain't gonna lie, Barry. I actually followed Paul Gascoigne over, and I started watching Italian football since Football Italia and Gazzetta dello Sport, back in 1992. And I followed our legendary Paul Gascoigne over, and I actually support Lazio, dude. So you do know that, right?
Yeah, well, you always used to come with the fire, mate, for the goal.
Yeah, because Emerson Royal is a poor defender. He's the worst Brazilian right back I've seen in 40 years, mate. He is awful, dude.
Let's not get into trophy winners.
Go on, Philly. You tell him. Go on, Philly.
Where are we going with this? It's the same with the useless pigeon. He's another one that's awful as well.
Do you know what?
Whoa. Hang on, that pigeon is prolific. That pigeon at the moment is 2-2. You leave him alone.
Compared to Solanke, that awful. Here's another one.
Another one of Lubo's. Have you noticed whoever Lubo rates isn't actually very good? Lubo is an Oscar.
Yeah.
Savva, you know what? Do you know why Lubo has the hate? And he likes it. We got him, got a bite straight away because you say one thing and Lubo just bites. He can't help it. It's like when someone says something to you. No. Hang on a minute. I'm going to disagree. This is not what I said. That's what you do, Savva.
Hold on. I cannot believe Emerson Royal has been dropped by AC Milan. I mean, it's outrageous, don't you think, Nick?
Lubo,
it's absolutely outrageous.
Lubo, just remember that Emerson Royal's a better right back than Archie Gray, mate. So just let's not go there.
All your life, boy. All your life.
Can I be honest?
You're on the wacky backing today, aren't you? You're on the wacky backing, mate.
Such bad players that I'm going to use the line I use. You've got the club you deserve. Like, this love you two have for these average footballers is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Savva, Emerson Royal's won a trophy, mate. Let's just don't put hate on his name, yeah? Just remember that.
So has Cameron Carter-Vickers. Doesn't mean I want him at Spurs.
So has Ndombele.
Everything, guys. Let's just. Everything started to go downhill the moment Ange got rid of Emerson Royal. Let's just. We can admit it. It's fine. Yeah. It's not a problem. We could admit it, right?
You know what? He's not wrong. You know what, guys? How have we missed this all season? You know, that's the most obvious reason for our terrible league form. How have we missed it?
Lubo,
I don't get it.
Lubo,
I don't how did we miss it?
You know when everyone says, but Ange didn't have Kane. It's not Kane.
It's not,
Royale.
is it? It's Emerson.
It's Royale.
Obviously.
Emerson
Because
Royale.
And because he had Royale last year and now he hasn't. So there you go.
I love
Ange
it.
never had
Kane.
Kane.
Have fallen down the table in Serie A as well since he's been injured, and that fraud Carl Walker's at right back. What are we doing here?
How can you compare? How can you do you know what? How can you compare Carl Walker to Emerson Royal? I mean,
You're so easy, Lubo. It's so easy to wind you up.
It's I'm winding you up. I'm winding you up. It's just
Barry, do I need to whip out all the WhatsApp messages from Lubo saying that Spurs should just go and get Kevin De Bruyne?
Yeah, bring them out. I wound you up a treat. I wound you up a treat.
You believed
that
it.
Was,
you believed
no,
it.
No.
You believed
I've got to
it.
tell you
You
something.
believed
Sam,
it.
You should have seen my comment afterwards, which tells you what I think. If Spurs went for Kevin De Bruyne, when he was offered the wages, De Bruyne would say, "Well, that covers 4 of my toes." And there you go.
Can you imagine? As we said, can you imagine Spurs ring up De Bruyne's agent? Hiya, is that Kevin's agent? Yes. Hi, it's Tottenham Hotspur.
That's right.
You would even get to Hotspur, Savva. You go, it's top.
Yeah. This is done. Guys, something before we wrap up in the next 5-10 minutes. I'm going to wrap up. Got an appointment with the barbers at 2:30. Sorry, so I need to get this sorted. But Lubo, by the way, the barbers, it's somewhere that people like me with hair. It's where we go every now and then to get a do.
Do you know what? Do you know what, Sav? Remember, in 10 years' time, you may not have that head of hair.
I bloody will. That. I will go to Turkey and get it sorted out. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys, I saw this today. I thought this was pretty funny. According to Joseba Larrañaga, Xabi Alonso has 4 offers from Real Madrid, Tottenham, Leverkusen and Sociedad. Anyone hopeful of Xabi Alonso accepting Tottenham of those 4?
Why would he?
He's got one offer, hasn't he? Real Madrid. It says it all.
It will be, won't it? It will be Real Madrid.
I'm sure.
Surely.
I'm sure Angelotti. But would you take Angelotti?
No.
No.
Because we need a coach. He has demonstrated at Real Madrid that he doesn't have any. Sorry, this is going to sound like I'm completely dismissing one of the greatest managers. He is a manager. He gets the top players, sticks them out on the pitch, and lets them play. They every time I watch them this year, they have no tactics. They look lost as a team, and he looks like since Kroos, Casemiro, and Modric, and not this version of Modric. That midfield don't function. There's no link-up play. I don't think he knows what to do with Bellingham. I don't think he knows what to do with Valverde or Tchouaméni or Camavinga. I wouldn't take him at all. I'm guessing some others might.
I'm having Ancelotti.
If we flute Europa and we're in the Champions League, we're going to have a conversation about the managers, because let's face it, we're in a mess, but we could attract a decent manager. Champions League football. And we get the footballing structure right this time round. And I'm optimistic. I'm not really, actually, because I know that Levy will do what Levy does. But seriously, this is how bonkers this season is. Imagine we win Europa, we fluke it. Champions League football, Paratici comes back. Let's say they come up with some kind of deal where Pochettino can do a dual role with USA and manage Tottenham, and Levy pays him a bit of compensation to do that. We could be having a decent season next season, but it won't happen.
The thing about that one, Rich,
what's needed, Rich. Let's be fair. The problem that we've got is we've said all year, surely we need a manager that coaches. Surely we need somebody that, that works with Bergvall, Gray, Moore, Sarr, Dogi. Is that Ancelotti, or is he in the Conte, Jose mold where you go, there's Mbappe, Vinicius Junior, Kroos, go and win everything?
Not Ancelotti, no, definitely not. I think we could, if we win the Champions League, we dangle that carrot to Pochettino, and we give him Paratici.
If we win the Europa,
the problem with Pochettino, Rich, is that because the World Cup is actually in America, emphasis will be on him to have to put up a good show. And I can't see America allowing him to do a dual role right now when the World Cup is in their country next year. It's not going to happen, mate. So
allow me to be delusional. Come on, this season has been so depressing. Let me have it, mate. Please, let me have that.
Look,
I know you
look at it this way,
but
Phil.
even I still wouldn't have him back anyway. And I'll tell you why I wouldn't have him back. Yeah, I watched the game with Chelsea versus Liverpool in the final of the League Cup, and it brought back memories of the Champions League and games where Savva actually mentioned the FA Cup semi-finals and the League Cup final. For me, yeah, he's not one of the managers that he can get you there, but he can't take you over the line. I look at him like a nearly man. I reckon that.
Yeah, but are we there?
Phil, we're not even there. Let alone take us over the line, mate. We aren't even there. I called this out on Stella's show about 8 or 9 months ago, yeah? Again, spoke about it last night. Levy's got more haters now than ever. We still have a lot of Ange out now. I think it's gone over the fence as such that there's more Ange out than Ange in, but there is still a hell of a lot of Ange in lovers there, yeah? If Ange goes, all those Ange in lovers along with the others are literally going to turn to the other side as well. In my humble opinion, the card trick and only card trick that man could actually do to get a bit of silence and a bit of time, if that's what he wants, is slam the Poch card down on the table, because you would then see the Ange lovers straight over to that side, and I think you'd see about another 30% of the Levy haters shut up and go straight over to that side. That is the only card, in my opinion.
That's all he's got. It's all he's got.
That he has
got. All he's got, Dan.
And don't be surprised if Poch is the manager.
He plays it. Yeah.
Right now I'm going to say this.
I wouldn't say no to Poch. I would take Poch back all day long over Ange. Phil, I would rather me, you, and Savva go bloody do the club. You know what? Right, let Alex do it. Whoever, go let Mickey Mouse do it. I don't think they're doing a worse job than Ange.
Okay,
so I won't say no to Poch.
I would take Poch over Ange, yeah? No disrespect to that one. I'll take Poch over Ange, yeah? But when I look at Pochettino, yeah, I have respect for Pochettino from the last bit of the Chelsea run, yeah? Because I think that they told him that he had to sell certain players. And I think that's when he stood up here and finally got a backbone and said, you know what, no. Right, and then he left the job. I think that's what happened, but I can't. That's speculation, but I think that's what happened. And if that is exactly what happened, fair play to him, because I don't want him to come back to Spurs here and being in any situation. And I know Savva will say, "Well, Poch had players like Tielemans and that he turned down," but I don't want a manager coming to the club and being starved for a year and told that you can't buy certain players because the money's not there. And I don't want to see that under any manager, because most managers here want to improve their team, right? They don't sit there for a year and tell me that, oh, we can't buy this player because we have the best 11. If Spurs had the best 11, they would have won something. They didn't. So they didn't have the best 11, what they claimed to be. And that was my argument at the point of time.
No, we did. We just didn't have the best 14 that we needed. We just had the best 11. The points total over those 2 seasons were more than any other club, yet we didn't win the league.
You would have had something to show for it, Lubo, if we had the best 11. We did not.
No, it doesn't always. It doesn't always work that way. Football's not black and white like that. He amassed more points in 15-16 and 16-17 than any other club in the Premier League, but came away with nothing. It happens. It happened. He was a superb manager. We watched fabulous football. You turned up, you're excited, you're on the edge of your seats. It was great stuff. And compare it to what we got now. Jesus Christ.
Are you driving backwards, Nubo?
I've just found a parking space where I
was going to say, okay, just checking. Barry was worried about you for how long you've been reversing. Just quickly,
I've got
guys.
to jump because I've got some things I've got to do. So cheers for having us on.
No worries, mate.
Later.
Cheers, Dan.
I'm going to wrap up in 4 minutes anyway. But guys, I think the thing for me is with Poch. Like, look, I'm not saying he's my number one choice, but let's be fair. If someone said to you right now, Pochettino or Angepostecoglou, it's an absolute no-brainer, right? Yes, I'm also of that opinion, Philly, that, when I look at Poch, I don't wax lyrical about him like others do, because I do think that he failed to get over the line. But he's the one that got us to that line, right? And he built a brilliant team through coaching. You know, we talk all day long about backing managers. That manager was hardly backed and built a brilliant team by upskilling players he already had, bringing in a few and bringing through a few youngsters at the time. Look how young Eric Dyer was. Look at Dele Alli from MK Dons. Ericsson was still a young man, right? So all of these things, when I look at that and then I compare it to now, the difference is night and day. We've got a manager right now that I haven't seen him upskill anyone. And when I see people having the arguments for who's he upskilled, the players that get put in there are Bergvall. Well, has he upskilled Bergvall? Bergvall's a young lad who's come in. Young players will naturally get better. But how do we know he wasn't this good before? He wasn't being given a chance by Ange at the beginning of the season. We're saying he's upskilled Spence. Is he? He's the one that's refused to play him. The moment everyone's back fit, who's not playing? It's Jed Spence. So I look at all this and say, if the option was him or Poch, Poch would not have this team sitting in 16th. Poch would have had this team playing wing backs in certain games. Poch can adapt. Poch can coach. Is Poch a winner? I don't know. But like we said, right now, we're not there. Right now, we need a manager that can just get us back into the top half and actually bring some stability to this football team. I don't know. There's levels. I think there's levels. There's absolute levels for me, guys.
I agree with Savva. I agree. Spurs are miles away from competing for trophies. I agree with you. But
no, we're not miles away, Phil. Phil, we're not, mate. We're not. We're in a Europa semi-final, mate. We're not miles away from winning a trophy. No, we're not. We're not miles away from winning a
trophy, but we're miles away from being a good team. Like there's a huge difference, right?
Competing regularly for trophies, but we are miles away, man. Come on now.
Let me ask you a question. If you're just say 10 miles away from winning a trophy under Ange, how many miles away is this squad from winning a trophy under Glasner, for argument's sake?
This sounds like a maths GCSE quiz question. If you're 10 miles away from winning a trophy and you are traveling at 9 miles per hour for 3 days,
no, we're not. But we're not. We're in reverse with Ange, aren't we?
Right, Lubo, yeah.
If you're traveling to Bodo Glimt for £1,300, how close are you to winning a trophy?
You better ask Johnny that and Sean Butler.
And Henry Wright. Unless he's pulled out.
We're on Sean's show yesterday, and he's on the phone to Johnny. He's taken his mic off mute and gone to Henry. Henry, do you want a ticket for Bodo Glimt? Yes or no? He's gone, we'll talk about it afterwards. No, you got to let me know. All right, cool. How much is it? It's 1,300. He went, actually, Johnny will do it for 1,250. Henry's going, oh, I'm not sure. And I think the peer pressure, Henry went, all right, I'll do it. He buggers off for 5 minutes to have a chat with his wife to let her know where the money's going out of their joint account. And then he messages me last night going, bloody hell, can't believe I'm going to Norway.
Not only going to Norway, but for a day, not even for a night, not even
There's
for
no
nothing.
hotel.
And there's no, what is it, Savva, you said as well, because I was watching it and laughing. There's no Wi-Fi within a mile of the ground.
I was joking. I was joking. They're literally getting a plane, stadium, plane home, 1,300 quid to watch. I'll hold my hands up. They are better fans than me or stupider with their money. I'm not sure which one it is, but I would £1,300 is a 10-night all-inclusive. Like, I don't know what Bodo. So, guys, I'm sorry. So, Philly, the question from Lubo was, if we're 10 miles away with Ange, how many miles away are we with Glasner?
I would say a lot closer with Glasner. But this was my argument in November, December, and when I said, well, Tottenham should have sacked Ange before the semi-final against Liverpool, because I looked at the semi-final against Liverpool and I said, with Ange's tactics, there is no way that Tottenham are beating Liverpool, because you're conducive to the way Liverpool play. Liverpool allow you to have possession, and they'll just slap you at the back here because you're going to push up. And it's the same thing with Aston Villa, which is why I would say you're a lot closer with a better manager. But
Phil, Ange should have gone. It would have been difficult to sack Ange after Ipswich because they just recently beaten City and Villa. But I would have sacked Ange after the Liverpool home defeat and said, right, there you go, 6-3.
And what were our fans doing at 5-1 down, Lubo?
Cheering this manager.
Singing his name at 5-1 down.
Surely tomorrow I remember going there when we were 3-0 down after about 20 minutes, and we were singing how crap Liverpool must be because you've only scored 3. We were winding, we were singing for the whole time, going, let's pretend we've scored a goal. All of this was coming out, right? And then we saw what happened. Liverpool at home to win the title on Sunday. I don't want to watch it because it's going to be Trent. Salah's not scored for God knows how long or had an impact in games. We're going to get absolutely owned. 4-0, 5-0, 6-0. I don't even want to think what it's going to be on Sunday. Lubo, if you're going to Liverpool again, mate, I'll stay at home. Genuinely.
Yeah. Why have you got tickets? Have you got tickets to go?
No. The only reason I'd go is to take my wife because she supports Liverpool, so she could see her team win the Premier League.
Give over, Barry.
No.
Barry.
What?
That's appalling.
What's appalling?
Barry, you went to Liverpool. God. Me and you have been to the Liverpool Stadium together.
We have. What?
I'm not your wife.
Yeah, but what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
On that note, by the way, Barry and I have had a very, very drunken night out in Liverpool at Liverpool Stadium. It was actually a very good do, wasn't it? It was a very good night.
Very good do, and Perchie was in the mud. Let's just put it that way. But it was your fault, Savva. It was your fault.
Oh, everything's my fault. I'm sure there'll be a YouTube video about that later. Savva's fault for something. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. What I will say is big up to Kudos, who said Matt has been on the show. He was on the call-in. I don't remember him being on. I do get a lot of people calling in. I don't remember.
I think it means
if everyone
Ben.
did notice.
I think it means Ben.
Oh, if he's Danny's Ben. Notice I put the link in and asked Matt to come on and he's disappeared. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. We've been going over 3 hours. This beautiful head of hair and lovely beard does not groom itself. So I'm going to go and let someone do that for me. Take care, everyone. Rich, thanks for coming on.
Thanks a lot for having me. Cheers.
Always, my man. You're always welcome. Lubo, thanks for coming on. Philly, thanks for coming on. Gutted that Barry turned up. But, hey, we needed some eye candy. Take care, everyone. And as always,
eye candy.
Come on.
Is that what you call it? Eye candy. The Emerson lover. Hey, the Emerson lover's eye candy.
He can't handle it, can he?
Look at this beautiful man in his beautiful green hoodie. Look at it. Goodbye, everyone.